saying that those in need of stargazers, firecrackers, and Galleria highlights now need only obtain a doctor's prescription, state officials expressed hope that the law would ease the suffering of those in need of huge, dazzling explosions. And in this week's op-ed pages, a man notes that, like it or not, we all die, then get dug up and molested. In other news, white male privilege is squandered on a job at Best Buy, and a local TCBY has missed the past 2 logo changes. Well, that's it for now. Goodbyes are bittersweet, my love, so I'll only tell you, for more, keep checking theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything that you want. All you have to do is take control of the airwaves by calling us toll-free at 855-450. Free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Apparently in the Houston, Texas area, bureaucrats will be going door to door to conduct a survey and collect blood samples from people.
I'll give you a blood sample.
Nothing to be concerned with here. Don't you worry about it. Chicago.
The government's coming around and collecting blood from people door to door.
It's okay. It's for your own safety.
Oh, good God. They haven't taxed us enough. Now they want blood.
Literally, yeah.
Are they armed? They're going to get bit by dogs.
They're going to get bit by me.
God.
So that one's in the news.
Hold on. You want my blood?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want yours too.
I mean,
we got something in common.
They better send a team, right? Like they need first they need a cop for the dogs, then they need a phlebotomist to do the proper blood draw. They need a couple of people to hold me down. What?
Slippery Slope, his new Bitcoin mining pool censors transactions. We're going to talk about Bitcoin here tonight because we did a lot of COVID talk last night. They've been shoving a lot more garbage down our throats with COVID restrictions.
Oh, man. The French Covidians are at it again.
It's getting worse in a lot of places. And so if you want to comment on anything, you're welcome to join us here. The toll-free number tonight is 855-450-FREE. But I did want to talk about something that may be happening, and it's a weird thing to talk about something that might happen.
Yeah, we don't usually do that here on Free Talk Live. You know, there's lots of weird, stupid bills that get introduced by insane legislators around the United States.
Well, some of those actually don't happen.
Most of them don't.
A lot of them don't.
Right.
But a lot of them do.
Some of them might happen.
Right.
So they might, because nothing is so stupid that some legislator might not pass it. Legislature.
Right. There's some really great stuff out there that they introduce in so much as show prep great stuff. I don't mean
as in worthy of talking about.
It's horrifying. Stuff that is the fodder that Free Talk Live does. It's just that years ago we decided there's so much of it that we'll leave it to another show to discuss. Generally,
if it passes, we'll
talk about it. We'll talk about it when it passes. At least, it should at the very least pass one house before we begin to discuss it. Right. That's our bar.
I'll ridicule it in the far distance.
Yeah. So, but in this case, we're talking about something that has happened on multiple occasions, which is a Bitcoin fork. And there are different types of Bitcoin forks.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about Joe Biden touching children.
No, but I'm sure that'll be in the news at some point.
That happens on a regular basis.
You can always check out joebiden.info if you need to see the latest on Joe Biden touching children videos, because they have them there. At least I presume they didn't take that website down.
No, it was up a couple of days ago.
Okay, good to know. So, but we're talking about Bitcoin forks, which are not near as salacious, but they are definitely controversial within the community of cryptocurrency users and advocates and things like that. And anytime you talk about Bitcoin, what this would be called is a chain fork, because there's different types of forks. You can take the code of Bitcoin and you can fork the code and make your own Bitcoin copy, you can call it whatever you want, Litecoin or Dash or
a clone
or whatever. You can clone
basically.
it. Yeah. There's a soft fork.
So
which
make a new Genesis block. You're saying?
Yeah, you're starting from scratch. You're just doing your own thing. Then there's soft forks and hard forks, which have to do with existing software for crypto, and whether you want to soft fork and upgrade it. That is in a way backwards compatible, meaning people using older versions can continue using their versions. Or there's a hard fork, which means that everybody using the software in question needs to upgrade in order to continue on forward into the future. And then there's
they don't have to.
True.
I mean,
could
somebody
fork the
could
chain.
continue running the original software. Miners would have to continue running the original software, and nobody can stop them.
That's true.
From doing.
And they could fork the chain, which is the type of fork I want to talk about today, where you take an existing cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, and then they, two sides disagree on a thing, and they go off in different directions, and then all of a sudden you have two competing versions of the original chain, which
basically competing to bribe the people who used to hold it better than the other one to continue to spend in their coin by making their value higher.
Yeah, and so I want to just jump into the story here, and this I actually just posted over at freekeen.com. And it's timely because the Bitcoin Cash blockchain could be going through one of these forks coming up on the 15th of November, which we are here on Thursday night tonight. That would be, I believe, in the middle of the day, roughly, or early in the morning, depending on your time zone. It's going to be on Sunday, basically.
So this is your original content. Okay.
That's right. So correct me if I'm wrong on anything that I've done my best to research this.
And that's what I do for a living, Ian. Don't worry.
I know. Thanks.
You mean if you're wrong about anything
in general, but specifically on the story.
Okay, on the story.
Yeah. Because I have a list I've been keeping.
Yeah. One of the strengths
alphabetical or in order of importance?
Just chronological.
I re-index it from time to time.
Chronological.
One of the strengths of cryptocurrency like Bitcoin is its open, decentralized nature. The code itself is open source, as released by the anonymous Satoshi Nakamoto back in 2009. Anyone can fork the code or copy it and create their own cryptocurrency, tweaking the software however one wants. And this has been done many thousands of times in the last decade and has resulted in an overwhelming number of cryptocurrencies, many of which are very interesting to speculate about but have little real-life relevance.
Right.
Bitcoin, BTC, which was the original, far and away is still the king of the hill of cryptocurrency. In fact, we were talking earlier this week about how Bitcoin's market cap,
being absolutely useless,
and we're going to get into that, but or near to useless. But the Bitcoin market cap recently eclipsed that of Disney.
Wow.
The Bitcoin market cap eclipsed like a bunch of U.S. companies. In fact, it was number 18 when ranked by compared to these other companies as far as the money that they're worth, basically.
Right. And it seems that, and the reason this is so is because it seems like people want to speculate on Bitcoin. They want to hold it. They want to possess it. But they
want to touch it. They want to love it.
They don't want to use it for what it was created for.
No, and if they actually tried to, they would find out that it is actually, in point of fact, unusable as cash, as electronic cash, and I'll get to that coming up.
I mean, unless you're spending it in $100,000 blocks or something.
So Satoshi Nakamoto again released this. Then in 2017, for the first time ever, a different kind of fork happened with Bitcoin. This one happened internally and contentiously. So here's a little bit of history for those of you who are brand new to this subject. And every time I do one of these stories about Bitcoin and what's happening to it, I always feel like I have to kind of retell from the beginning, because while you can operate in the dark about cryptocurrency, a little bit of information can go a long way.
Right. There's not enough people in the crypto sphere, at least the articles that I end up reading, that that bring the verbiage down so that everybody can understand. Right. I've been in cryptocurrency. We were the first media in the world to discuss cryptocurrency. And ladies and gentlemen, you can email me at mark@freetalklive.com with any evidence contrary to that statement. We were the first media in the world to discuss Bitcoin here in December 28th, 2010. I've been in cryptocurrency for quite some time, and a lot of these people write articles I don't understand.
Yeah, they presume you're starting with some knowledge base that you may or may not have. So this happened internally and contentiously. In 2017, Bitcoin's network was full of transactions, just like it is today. Similar to recent months, network fees then were rising dramatically as people looking to send transactions as quickly as possible bid up the fees to ridiculous levels. For instance, within the last week, I paid about $10 worth of Bitcoin to send a transaction. This is crazy expensive for sending crypto, which shouldn't cost more than 1 or 2 cents or even less.
Sure, Bitcoin Cash does cost a fraction of a cent to send.
Sometimes it's 1 or 2 cents.
Okay,
I've seen that.
I would bend over for 2
I've
pennies.
ever seen it over a penny.
I've seen it. It happens.
It happens, but
No
there's
big
a
deal.
variety of things to say about it, and it often has to do with small transactions sent into a wallet that you're then sending a large transaction out of.
And that gets a little technical, but yeah, that has to do with how the Bitcoin network works.
Yeah.
And it has to do with the size of the transaction, not the amount of the transaction, but the number of bytes.
Size matters.
Correct. When it comes to Bitcoin, it definitely does. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. So we'll continue with what's going to happen possibly this weekend on the way. It's Free Talk Live.
Maxwell, he was a runaway to rescue, great disposition. About 9 years ago, he was scratching a lot, and he started losing some hair. My vet, she said, oh, he must be allergic to the chicken. Another vet said, it's the grain. Third vet, she says it's the weather, something in the air. And then somebody said, DINOVITE.com. I have been listening to these Dynavite ads, hearing about different stories of different people, and it just clicked. I got my first 90-day supply, and it took a grand total of 2 weeks. And the dog stopped itching, the hair stopped falling out.
Dynavite is nutrition.
And Maxwell loves it. Now he's close to 10. And the Dynavite is a big part of Maxwell's diet.
Dynavite for life. You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
And he's a spectacular dog.
DINOVITE.com.
No other network provides the level of customer service we do. When it comes to radio advertising, we are your one-stop shop. And no matter how big or small your business is, we can help. Email us at advertise@gcnlive.com, and an experienced advertising executive will help you take the first step towards driving more customers to your business or website. Advertise@gcnlive.com. Easy, affordable, effective.
Stop aging now. Restore those joints. Boost your strength. Because it's official. NutriMedical has released the most exciting, powerful anti-aging supplement on the market. Dr. Bill Deagle's Red Deer Velvet DR has been approved by the U.S. Patent Office. Imagine stem cell rejuvenation all in one capsule without huge expense. Dr. Bill MD discovered that as an unborn baby grows in the mother's womb, he or she does not deteriorate or physically age. Red Deer.
Free Talk Live.
Rights are inherent because we're humans, and they're a good idea that we respect among one another. Look, I mean, I believe in the I believe in your right to defend yourself. So if you want to,
don't you believe in the right as a country to defend our borders?
Collectives don't have rights. Only individuals have rights.
No, we have right as a collective, as a country.
No, I don't think that you can grant something to a collective that you don't have yourself. So you don't have the right to, put a gun to my head and take money from me, right?
No, certainly not.
Okay, well then you wouldn't have the ability to grant that to a collective. You wouldn't have, you and 10 other people getting together wouldn't be able to create a collective right to put a gun to my head and take my money, would you?
Then what do we have government for?
I don't know, man. It's something we've been saddled with for a long time, and I think it's about time that we end it.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Koinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Koinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Koinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Well, that is some funky beats there. I don't know what that is.
That funky music, white boys.
That's not our normal music bed, but we're still here. It is Free Talk Live, and it's Ian with you.
And nobody.
And Mark.
We're talking about the world of cryptocurrency and the different strange occurrences that can happen. Specifically, the idea of what they call a chain split or a fork in the blockchain. And we'll get into more what these terms mean here in just a moment. Also, want to let you know that Free Talk Live is brought to you by Bitcoin.com. Now, I want to be clear. Bitcoin.com does not tell us what to say or what opinions to have or what cryptocurrencies to like here on Free Talk Live. Just want to make that clear. Bitcoin.com
they'll make their case.
They have a horse in the race.
Yeah.
Okay, when it comes to their favorite. And I believe they're backing, and we'll talk about what's happening here with Bitcoin Cash in just a moment. But they don't tell us what to do at any point.
They're an advertiser, and we come up with our own opinions.
And they're different usually between the hosts of the show.
Yeah.
Like we don't all come at this from the same perspective in a lot of cases. In fact, I don't know where you guys fit in this question that we're going to be talking about coming up about what may happen with Bitcoin Cash forking on Sunday. But
well, that's just these two, Roger. If you want to send me some money, I'll give you the copy you want.
Say whatever you want you to say. All right.
And watch out for the lean, hungry guys.
Bitcoin.com is where you can go to learn more about Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, because these schisms have happened before, and we'll get into the history of what happened the first time when Bitcoin Cash was originally created. But you can go to Bitcoin.com, learn the basics. Now's a good time to do that. We're going to dig into a little deeper than the basics here tonight, but I'm going to try to make it as understandable and simple as it possibly can be, because it can be a complex subject, and it's important to not
just brush over everything.
Yeah, complexify something like this.
Lay the foundation. But the fact is that we cannot go and reset every single segment. So
that's true.
You need to
listen to the whole thing.
You need to listen to this whole show, start to finish. And if you didn't get the front part of it, you can always, and this is true for every episode, you can go to archives.freetalklive.com. We've got free episodes going there back for close to 2 decades.
Yeah, and by the way, you could just go to freetalklive.com, and it's usually right there at the top of the page. The last few days are right there. So we're talking about the idea of the Bitcoin fork, and in this case, the chain fork, the chain split, when one Bitcoin or one project can become two. So let me continue here. So what happened back in 2017 was the Bitcoin network was full. You had the fees to send Bitcoin, because the customer sends the Bitcoin, and they pay the fee to do that. Usually it was very small. Well, they ran up real big in 2017 because the network was full, and the Bitcoin programmers and community couldn't come to an agreement on how to scale up Bitcoin to meet the demand of the market and
they screwed the pooch.
Right, and keep fees low. Yeah. So one side offered a simple solution they said was Satoshi's original vision, to increase the block size. And the block size is a technical term describing the number of bytes maximum that a block can be when it's mined onto the blockchain.
The best way to describe block size is the size of the envelope. Currently, the envelope allows
into which these transactions are being put.
Right, allows something like 1,000 transactions every 10 minutes. Is that about right?
I don't know.
Yeah, so it allows
not a lot.
A certain number of transactions every 10 minutes, generally.
But the more Trump votes you can fit in a bag, the easier you can rig the election.
Don't mess with the analogy. I'm trying to make this easy for people. Okay, so what they, what one side wanted to do was first double the size of the envelope so that you would then double the amount of transactions that happen every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
The other size is like, well, I don't really even understand the other side's
we'll get to that.
But, no was the answer.
So I'll tell you about
the other
that.
side was saying, well, we've been paid off by the bankers to make this thing fail.
I addressed that coming up here as well. So the blockchain being the major innovation that makes Bitcoin such an important development. It's always important to explain what the blockchain is. It's a public ledger of all the Bitcoin transactions that have occurred since the beginning, since 2009, when Satoshi Nakamoto released this thing to the world. The blockchain is decentralized and distributed. There are thousands of copies of it all around the world, and this distribution is why Bitcoin cannot be taken down by world governments. It exists in too many places at once. So anyway, when Satoshi created Bitcoin, there was no limit. There was no limit on the block size. Later, Satoshi added a block size of 1 megabyte, apparently without telling anyone. Satoshi later disappeared from public view and hasn't been seen since. Why did Satoshi add the limit? Well, there's speculation, but apparently Satoshi never explained it. Regardless, it exists, and some in the Bitcoin community say it should be raised. The larger the block size, as Mark explained, the more transactions can be fit in a block, which are generally mined onto the blockchain roughly every 10 minutes. More transactions per block means more transaction volume can be handled at once and therefore lower network fees. Simple, right? Unfortunately, not everyone agreed. Another group was against raising the block size, instead proposing much more complex ideas including segregated witness and lightning network as solutions. Now, I don't have the ability to explain them, so I won't try. Suffice it to say, they implemented
the primary problem with them, a solution.
That's a major problem for sure. They implemented segregated witness, and its effect on the network fees was completely unremarkable.
Unremarkable is the best way to describe it, yes.
The much ballyhooed lightning network is still in development, so the jury is out on that.
Right, and the people on the other side, we'll call them the big blockers. The big blockers predicted that Lightning Network would be
in development hell.
In development hell for a very long period of time.
The old joke was it's just 36 months away.
Yeah.
No matter what time it is.
Right.
36 months to flatten the curve.
Checks in the mail, as it were.
So the two sides couldn't come to an agreement. So for the first time in history, in its history, on August 1st of 2017, Bitcoin, BTC, had a chain fork or chain split, and Bitcoin Cash, or BCH, was born. Instantly, everyone who had Bitcoin BTC also had the same amount of the then new Bitcoin Cash BCH.
Yep.
I prefer to call the event a schism, however, because outside of the technical aspects, from the human perspective, a chain split resembles a religious schism. Two groups of people who previously agreed come to irreconcilable differences and go their separate ways.
Yeah.
Whether political, sports, or crypto, human nature appears to be very tribal, for better or for worse. So are we better off or worse off for having Bitcoin Cash, BTC or BCH, and Bitcoin BTC? Well, it depends on your perspective. I think it would have been better if the Bitcoin programmers just increased the block size, fixing the problem of the full network and the ridiculous fees. Unfortunately, they wouldn't do this, and so Bitcoin Cash had to happen.
Well, yeah, like the funny thing about the small blockers here, what they said first was, they told everybody to fork off was the terminology they did.
Mm-hmm.
When they did, then they called everybody an S coin. Okay. And right,
because to them, Bitcoin BTC is the one true savior of all coins.
And you'll play what they were saying. Basically, they had this really unenviable position, this really crappy position. The position is, you will do as we say you will do, and you will shut up about all of your opinions otherwise. And that's just what, Bitcoin would be worth so much more if you people hadn't have forked off like we told you to fork off. I mean,
See, it wouldn't be, because the only real solution to scalability is to have multiple blockchains. You don't have to worry about, can this blockchain scale enough or can that blockchain scale enough, if you can have as many blockchains as you want.
But it would be nice if they tried, and they didn't. More coming up here in moments. 855, 450, free like freedom.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Koinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Koinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Koinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions, or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey. Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video or audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait a minute.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me?
Because you're scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can bring up anything that you want here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom, though we are talking about cryptocurrency in some level of, an unusual level, I would say, of detail, but we're going to try to keep it as understandable as possible for brand new people, because we know that most of the people listening to this conversation are completely new to crypto or just having gotten into it, for instance. And you may not realize some of the kind of the weird stuff that can go on. I'm not trying to scare people away from cryptocurrency here, but just to inform that this is a new thing, and it's not like money that we've dealt with in the past generations. There is a learning curve, and as we mentioned, you can go to bitcoin.com to learn more about the basics of Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. But there is a learning curve, and I think that having some knowledge is better and preferable to being completely unaware of what's going on around you.
Right. You've probably been unaware of how money's created up to this point. How's that treated you?
Oh, and, the money works. It just gets worse over time.
I understand.
Think the clueless people are happier.
Could be.
Well, hold on.
Ignorance is bliss.
Let me address that for a second. It might be nice to be clueless about it. However, that's what the people who manage the worldwide fiat currencies want you to be, is clueless.
Ignorant. Yeah.
And if you are, chances are good you will have less of it because it is in fact designed to not stay in your pocket.
See, I think it's kind of like studying history. Those who don't study history
are doomed to
repeat it. Those who do study history are doomed to stand by helplessly while everybody else repeats it anyway.
It's true. And so
I'd like to wish the new president the best of luck.
We'll get back into the story here in just a moment, but I do want to tell you about AnyPay. Because if you are ready to get into accepting cryptocurrency at your business or your online website where you're selling stuff on, say, WooCommerce, you can easily get the AnyPay WooCommerce plugin. Just go to anypayinc.com, anypayinc.com. You can learn more about the various services they offer you there, including brick-and-mortar businesses accepting cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Dash and Bitcoin Cash. And AnyPay, by the way, is saying they're going to support both of the forks of Bitcoin Cash. That's what their current plan is. And we'll tell you about that fork coming up here, because right now we're still laying the foundation for what's coming this weekend, possibly, by telling you about what happened back in 2017 with Bitcoin's first ever, what they call chain split. So learn more about AnyPay. Go to anypayinc.com and start taking cryptocurrency at your business. So we're looking back at 2017. It was August of 2017 when Bitcoin, BTC, for the first time in not quite a decade at that point, but most of it, for the first time ever had an internal schism where two sides couldn't agree on which direction the programming should go in. So one set of programmers went off this way and they had their miners supporting them, and another set of programmers went off another way and they had other miners supporting them. And Bitcoin Cash was born from this process. So looking at that, and again, my story here is written over at freekeen.com, asking the question of, are we better or worse off because this split happened? And you argued, Nobody, that having a bunch of different options in the marketplace is ultimately what we would have anyway, and so we're better off having more choices.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, the other thing is, like you say, programmers have different ideas about what's going to work. And as a programmer, I speak of this feelingly. The only way to find out what's going to work is to try it and measure it. And you get most of the time, if you profile your code, which is time it to see how long it takes to do different things, it will surprise you. It won't be what you expect. So you've got to try all the things and see what works. And every once in a while, you end up with like a Windows or something. But then you get Windows, you get Linux too.
In this case, there is an additional factor. It's not just a bunch of people toying around with code and trying different things. There's money involved, and a lot of it. We're talking about.
There's always been a lot of money involved in code.
Sure, but we're talking about. But one programmer sitting in an office and tweaking and testing code is one thing. It's another thing when you're dealing with billions of dollars worth of value that is associated with that code.
You just pointed out that Bitcoin is now has a market cap higher than the value of Disney.
That's right. So,
when I worked for Citibank, one of my colleagues fired up a piece of code that, regrettably for him, subtracted when it should have added. It flipped his sign, and I believe that Citibank lost something like $75 million in the 15 minutes that code was running.
Oh, my God. So he didn't test that enough in development before going live on a production server?
Yes, not.
So they promoted him to management.
Well, I mean, this was during the heady days of the banking scam.
Well, I'm pretty sure those days are still going on.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's a different banking scam. Now they call it COVID-19.
So the point I wanted to make, though, on this, are we better off or worse off, is that increased competition, sadly, has done nothing to get Bitcoin's programmers to fix their problem. Meanwhile, network fees
competition means they don't have to. We can happily spend other cryptos.
We can. There's no doubt about it. But there's still Bitcoin has this tremendous network effect. It has the first mover advantage. It has the name recognition. And people are still going out and buying it, not knowing that it's effectively a broken piece of software.
Maybe it has the corporate media is promoting me because I'm irredeemably broken because blockchain Blockstream got paid off by the banks.
And that's coming in the next paragraph. So
it's not that I don't believe any of that. It is, however, I would push back against that. Bitcoin does what they, Blockstream, and the small blockers, claim that they want it to do. It is a store of value. And
yeah, you can't be a store of value unless you have value.
We'll get into all of that coming up here. So again, the programmers haven't fixed Bitcoin. So the network fees are on the rise again, just like in 2017. Just 1 week ago, the average fee was over $10. And as I wrote this article, it was over $6. Most people buying Bitcoin BTC are unaware of the insane fees because they're buying it on sites like Coinbase or apps like Cash App. And if they never move the funds off those platforms, they never experience the insane network fee. So to them, it's just an investment vehicle. It's not money.
And also, they don't have any Bitcoin. They've just got Bitcoin futures.
Yeah, that's really what they've got.
Their Bitcoin, right?
Right. So if you might have a promise for Bitcoin, but you don't have Bitcoin unless you're holding it in your own
wallet,
what they call non-custodial wallet. So if you've got it at Coinbase or Cash App or PayPal or any one of these places, then they're holding your Bitcoin,
and they'll do what they want with it.
And think about this, ladies and gentlemen: would you let those companies hold your gold bars? And if the answer is yes, then by all means continue doing what you're doing. But if the answer is no, then you're not doing this right. Take it from a guy who fell for I think the first Bitcoin scam.
One of them. It was one of them.
The mybitcoinwallet.com scam. And in that scam, I sent, because I didn't want to
I fell for it too.
Yeah. We didn't want to go through the trouble of creating our own Bitcoin wallet and managing it ourselves and keeping track of our own wallet. And it was much harder back in those days than it is now. Now it's easy. You really don't have an excuse. So what we did
was...
We
trusted some guy on the internet.
We sent to somebody who used the word...
Never trust some guy on the internet. That's just a bad plan.
We sent our money to a guy who used the word bank to describe his own Bitcoin wallet, and we sent money to him, and then, a month later or so, he said, whoops, I got hacked. Sorry, bye, guys, I'm out of business.
It's all
Bye-bye. And then shortly thereafter, everybody in the Bitcoin sphere says, hey, you read Bell's assassination politics article, right? We're going to have you killed if you don't give our Bitcoin back. And suddenly it's like, I found half of the Bitcoin.
Where'd that come from?
And he sent half back to everybody, and then he disappeared.
Which just goes to show you can fool some of the people all of the time, you can fool all of the people some of the time, and generally that's sufficient.
The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. More on the way here about the kind of the history of Bitcoin schisms and internal conflicts and what is coming potentially this weekend on Sunday with Bitcoin Cash. More coming up.
Hi, I'm Dan Pilla. I started fighting the IRS over 40 years ago when they tried to seize my mother's house. I sued the IRS and won. I beat the IRS then, and I've been beating them ever since. I wrote the book on tax debt settlement, and I've helped thousands of people deal with tax problems they thought might never be solved. I can help you too. If you owe taxes you can't pay, don't wait another day. There's no such thing as a hopeless tax case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX or go to my website, danpilla.com. That's danpilla.com, danpilla.com.
When you have a pain in the neck, a real pain in the neck, back, shoulder, or legs, you now have two convenient choices to get fast relief without taking another pill. Because now, Sunny Bay heating wraps and pillows are available at both Amazon and Walmart. Yes, see Sunny Bay's 4.5 to 5-star customer reviews on Amazon.com or Walmart.com. Our made in the USA microwavable heat wraps, heatable neck pillows, and extra large body wraps are designed better for perfect support where and when you need it. Even while driving, Sunny Bay wraps will not burn and stay balanced to provide soothing hot or cold therapy to help treat temporary or or chronic pain. And the best part? Sunny Bay quality products start at under $20. Join thousands of happy customers and see why Sunny Bay products have a lifetime 100% positive rating on both Amazon and Etsy. It's easy. Click Amazon or Walmart and search today for Sunny Bay. What if you could cut your heating bills this winter with your existing wood-burning fireplace and not spend thousands doing it? You can with Great Wall of Fire fireplace grates. Our U.S. patented made-in-America Wall of Fire grates increase fireplace efficiency, eliminate fireplace smoke problems, and come with a 30-day money-back guarantee. See our grates in action and get free shipping from walloffire.com or call 800-274-7364. Fireplace heat without fireplace smoke. walloffire.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can take control of the airwaves here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. I want to say thanks to Gene, the Christian anarchist. He is a gold amplifier. And that means that Gene is contributing $10 a month to the AMP program. It's a way for you to get behind what we do here on Free Talk Live. You like the fact that we're talking about freedom and liberty and peace and cryptocurrency regularly here on broadcast radio and, of course, online, then you can help us like Gene has done. He did it for $10 a month. We only ask for $5, so he's doing twice the recommended amount. I definitely appreciate that. But you can get some cool benefits and some perks by going over to amp.freetalklive.com. That's amp.freetalklive.com, getting signed up there. And you can use the old Bitcoin BTC if you want. We also accept debit card, credit card, and PayPal through the AMP program at amp.freetalklive.com. We're talking about Bitcoin Cash and what's possibly going to happen on Sunday with another schism, another contentious, what they call fork or chain fork of Bitcoin Cash. But it requires us to also talk about the history, and that involves Bitcoin, the original Bitcoin, BTC, when it first split the very first time in 2017 and became, two competing forms of cryptocurrency. One, Bitcoin, BTC, the other, Bitcoin Cash, BCH. And so we're still where we're at in this story that I wrote over at freekeen.com, just trying to go over the basics of all this for folks to inform you of what's going on. So anyway, the fees on Bitcoin, they're back up. It's almost as bad as it was in 2017 when fees shot up to like $25, $30. We've seen over $10 fees.
They literally haven't increased the capacity of the network at all. all.
That's the thing. They've done nothing.
Basically, nothing's happened in 3 years, and the probable, almost certain future was that this was going to happen again, and it has happened again, and maybe that means that currencies like Bitcoin Cash and Dash and other things will be poised to take over. But at this moment, Bitcoin is still the king of the hill.
See, one of the strange things about Bitcoin that's like the opposite of the rest of the world. Normally, if you produce the best product, you'll make the most money.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, the Federal Reserve, if they want to damage a project, has literally an infinite amount of money to spend.
Correct.
So the thing is, if there was one team of crypto guys, if there was only one, then they could absolutely crush them.
Mm-hmm.
They could have them killed. Okay.
Right.
It's not hard to have maybe a dozen people killed. But
accidents do happen.
When you've got a whole bunch of coins, then all of a sudden you've got hundreds of programmers.
You can't take them all out.
And if you take some... So exactly, it decentralizes the knowledge. It decentralizes the infrastructure.
Plus, some of these coins...
This is why there must be a variety of coins, just like there must be a variety of banks, a variety of telephone carriers, a variety of pot dealers.
But the difference between
competition makes the difference between a working market and a non-working
and
market.
Thankfully, unlike telephone carriers and banks, the Bitcoin cryptocurrency universe is unregulated. So there's no bureaucrats standing in the way. There's no legislators
getting more regulated
standing in the way. Well, there's no regulations on whether or not you can copy Bitcoin's code and launch your own cryptocurrency. There's no one standing in the way of that.
Is it under the GPL?
I don't know what the license is, but it's open. It's an open source project. Satoshi Nakamoto doesn't even exist anymore. I mean, he or she hasn't made a public appearance since 2011.
Strong statement. He doesn't exist.
Maybe, we don't know. The guy could be
he may
dead.
have never existed.
Somebody created Bitcoin.
Who he was.
Whether it was space aliens or a man or a woman or a team of people, I don't know. But
or even the NSA.
Could be.
I mean,
could be.
There are those who have
doesn't
said
seem
it
like
with
something they would do, though.
Various far-fetched ideas as to why.
That isn't the NSA's
one reason,
MO.
No, it's not really.
Well, I mean,
DARPA, perhaps.
Okay, here's a reason. I mean, maybe the CIA or somebody, but
they still exist.
Here's something that they could do. Okay, it may well be that they've got a mathematician at the NSA, which has some of the best mathematicians in the world, that has figured out a way to twiddle the digits in the encryption scheme used in the blockchain, and all of a sudden we need wider keys in order to stay ahead of them, because that's what happens. The difficulty of cracking a key is related to the size of that key.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Sorry.
Okay. Well, basically, what I'm saying is,
what's the GPM?
If you were the CIA and you had a desire to do so, then you might release something like Bitcoin, thinking, "Hey, we'll suck everybody's money in, but we know where the body is buried, so we pull out the universal key once all the people who hate the government have put their money into it, and we just unlock the whole blockchain, and it disappears into the
well,
puff
that
of
is a
stardust.
Nasty conspiracy theory.
It is, and
I think it gives them
don't
too much
think
credit.
It's true, but again, the diversity of blockchains mean that, maybe there's a backdoor in the original Bitcoin, but they can't possibly have backdoored them all.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like the government, I don't give them enough credit to pull off things like that.
There are some smart people working for the government.
Well, wouldn't they have been smart enough to realize that this could undermine the government? Because that seems to be one of the major purposes, at least by Satoshi Nakamoto.
It seems to be, but there's a lot of strange things going on that seem to be aimed at doing things that don't make any sense. The COVID thing, the housing bubble thing.
Well, I mean, some of those things make sense from certain perspectives. COVID makes sense if you want the government to have more power, and the housing bubble makes sense for the people that were making money off of that.
Well, it makes sense from the point of view of someone who wants to sow division.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, these are all possibilities. Obviously, I don't believe in it. I have 10% of my net. My church has 10% of its net worth in cryptocurrency, which isn't much, but it's ours. Or I'm sorry, we've got 10% of our cryptocurrency holdings in BTC.
BTC, okay.
So you're no longer Pope Indigent the First.
The holdings are not not substantial at this point, but I no longer have to worry about where I'm gonna get my pizza, pretty much.
So back to the story here from freekeen.com. So this now common viewpoint about Bitcoin BTC, that it is a, quote, store of value rather than electronic cash, was not always the case and has been cultivated by its supporters in recent years. Satoshi's white paper was clear. Bitcoin was supposed to be electronic cash. It's right there in the title. If you don't have to read the whole thing, it's there in the title. Which is also a store of value. For years, Bitcoin's network fees, which are paid by the sender, were no more than a penny's worth of Bitcoin per transaction. There are some interesting theories that suggest old money companies like Mastercard, via its membership in the Digital Currency Group, are funding key Bitcoin programmers by investing in a company called Blockstream, who put those programmers on its payroll several years ago, after which all the trouble started. Another investor of Blockstream is AXA Group, a massive global bank. Satoshi created Bitcoin to undermine the old money institutions like MasterCard and big bankers like AXA, but now they're funding its key developers? Whether it's through a conspiracy to make Bitcoin less useful in the marketplace or just the inaction that can sometimes result from being the king of the hill, Bitcoin has not been fixed. It's still broken due to network congestion driving up the fees. Bitcoin Cash, BCH, is a much more useful alternative than Bitcoin, primarily because its network fees are what they should be, around 1 cent's worth of Bitcoin Cash. Of course, plenty of cryptos have low fees like Dash, but Bitcoin Cash has had the staying power to keep in the top 10, while Dash, once ranked as high as number 5 by market cap, has fallen down the charts. Currently, Dash is at around number 30 or so.
And most of these charts include things that wouldn't call themselves digital cash.
Correct. It includes all of the cryptocurrencies that are recognizable.
There's lots of cryptocurrencies that really aren't currencies. They're they're tokens for all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Right.
Like Ethereum, for instance.
Which, in a lot of cases, I mean, I think that's going to be eventually what gets traded in. I think that what we'll see blockchains, but those blockchains will trace the movement of real material goods.
Well, they already have like logistics companies that are implementing blockchain technology, for instance, to help actually trace their products along the product chain from point to point.
Just the idea of having a verifiably true ledger and journal is
valuable.
Huge boon to business. It's the holy grails.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that makes Bitcoin unique and one of the things that makes it a real innovator. More coming up here in moments. This is Free Talk Live, Hour 2, coming up.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had got involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be a part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream for people to use it for everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that is as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
I'm a little obsessed with My Magic Mud. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, the founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I didn't even know my teeth were coffee stained. A week's worth of use convinced me, and now I use it every 3 or 4 days. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, and I think it cleans better too. My Magic Mud's available at most local health food stores, Sprouts, Natural Grocers, CVS, Walmart's Natural Beauty Aisle, but I can get it for you for 20% off with coupon code FTL20 at mymagicmud.com. FTL20 mymagicmud.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
A warning about a resurgence. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Cases of coronavirus are rising sharply in several states, and health officials in Massachusetts now say they have confirmed 10,000 people in the state have died from the virus, though they say the total could be much higher.
Across the country, there are now more than 65,000 people who are hospitalized for COVID-19. That is the highest number of hospitalizations since the pandemic struck. Hospitals in a number of hotspots are at or near capacity. In North Dakota, in order to prevent a staffing shortage there, healthcare workers who, although testing positive, can stay on the job in COVID units if they're not exhibiting symptoms. And in Ohio, a mask mandate is in place. Businesses cited for 2 violations have to close down for a day.
Fox's David Lee Miller. Oregon has shattered its daily case record with more than 1,100 reported cases today. In Chicago, Mayor Lori Lightfoot is issuing a 90-day advisory beginning Monday, asking people to stay home and not have visitors, even on Thanksgiving.
This is literally a matter of life and death. And if we see you violating these rules in any way, we're not going to hesitate to take action. Not through warnings. The time for that is over. We're going to fine and, if necessary, shut businesses down.
Lightfoot says if people don't change their behavior, the city could see another 1,000 deaths from the virus by the end of the year. Oregon has reported more than 1,100 new cases or confirmed or presumptive cases of COVID-19 today. The state's previous record was 988 on Saturday. State health officials partially blaming Halloween parties, including one they say had 100 deaths. Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar has announced an agreement with major drugstore chains and grocery store pharmacies to distribute vaccines for COVID-19 once it gains approval. America is listening to Fox News.
This holiday season, more people will be mailing stuff than ever before. Stamps.com brings the post office and now UPS shipping right to your computer so you can mail and ship anything from the convenience of your home or office. With Stamps.com, you can print postage on demand and save money with deep discounts you can't even get at the post office. Like 5 cents off every stamp, up to 40% off priority mail, and up to 62% off UPS shipping rates. Print official stamps and labels right from your computer for any letter, package, or class of mail, anywhere you want to send. Once your mail's ready, schedule a pickup or drop it off. It's a no-brainer. Don't spend a minute of this holiday season at the post office. Right now, listeners get a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale with no long-term commitment. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and type in Fox. Stamps.com. Enter Fox. Go right now to Stamps.com. Enter Fox.
A bleak milestone for COVID-19 deaths in Britain, and several countries in Europe are dealing with a second wave.
The UK has become the first country in Europe to pass 50,000 coronavirus deaths. A total of 50,365 people have died within 28 days of a positive COVID test, up 595 in the past 24 hours. The UK is only the 5th country to pass 50,000 deaths, coming after the US, Brazil, India and Mexico. Hospitals elsewhere in Europe are also filling up amid a resurgent tide of coronavirus. Several countries, including France, the UK, Italy and Germany, are in partial lockdowns, with many hoping that restrictions will begin to have an effect as the intensive care units fill up. In London, Benjamin Hall, Fox News.
Cases of measles are surging, according to a new report by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the World Health Organization. Almost 870,000 people around the world were infected last year, the worst figures in almost a quarter century, as vaccination levels fall below what the
LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. As our contract with our satellite provider is coming up for another 3-year renewal, I have to consider calling it quits. It's rare that we get feedback or support from our satellite users. We started a fundraiser a few years ago, and though there are a bunch of great contributors to it, as of this recording, it covers 15% of our monthly satellite costs. Please email lrn@lrn.fm and tell me how you use the satellite feed. Better yet, chip in at fund.lrn.fm. The costs aren't the issue. We can afford them, but why continue something not valued by the market? Want to help? You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. Fund.lrn.fm.
Bewildered paralegal Caitlin Levy says that after returning home from work today, it occurred to her that oddly at no point during her day was she harassed, leered at, or made to feel humiliated or physically threatened.
It's weird. Looking back on it, I suddenly realized that not one strange man made a creepy comment at me or an obscene gesture or a sleazy look for like the whole day. How can that be?
The 29-year-old told reporters that even at points in her day when she is traditionally almost certain to be made uncomfortable by at least 1 or 2 leering male strangers, not a single such instance occurred.
I actually got to walk from the train to my office and never once catch some weirdo smiling at me or looking me up and down or slowing down his car to yell some shit out the window at me. I felt weirdly safe or something.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, kicking off the second hour here. Time for you. If you want to join us, you can take control of the airwaves at 855-450-FREE. The Bitcoin Cash world set for some potential rocky days ahead with a potential schism or chain fork on the nearby horizon coming up supposedly on Sunday. We'll tell you more about what that means coming up here in moments. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
It's nobody.
We're going... Oh, sorry.
Mark
You're still
I'm
here
still
too.
here, yeah.
It's nice to have you.
Yeah, I've been here since the beginning.
Welcome back, actually. You went to Florida recently, so sometimes it's easy to lose track of you.
You forgot about me. Founding.
What, 2 months gone and not forgotten yet?
So
news of my death is quite premature.
So
if a great man's death might outlive his life by 6 months, but he must build churches.
If you want to comment, you can. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. We're trying to make this conversation as accessible as possible. I think we've done a good job so far. Nobody went off into the weeds a little bit there, but you called him on it, Mark. So it's always important. If any one of us is saying something you don't understand, or stop us and ask a question.
That's true, but just as, there are going to be some people interested in laying out, the basics for them, there are going to be other people who on the other end of the spectrum who are going to be like, yeah, I've heard that 10,000 times, but let's talk about the new thing.
And we're going to get to the new thing coming up here in just a moment. The new thing is the same as the old thing, as we'll explain. But if you do want a more detailed technical analysis of some of these ideas, Nobody Tells the Truth is a show that you can get on the DLive and Twitch channels that we have on Friday nights, 10:30 Eastern Time. So mark your calendar for that. I presume you'll be on tomorrow night?
Yep.
All right,
yep, I will.
So go to dlive.lrn.fm or twitch.lrn.fm. As we go to Mo in New Hampshire. Mo, you're on Free Talk Live. Mo?
Nobody. I've heard 1,000 times.
You lied about your name, so you're gone. We go on. So let's go on. That was somebody else who was lying. We go on with the story. So unlike Dash, Bitcoin Cash's existence has been somewhat dramatic. Dash has never had a chain split, but Bitcoin Cash had its first in November of 2018, just over a year after it came into existence, as we described earlier, when Bitcoin Cash split from the original Bitcoin. So just after a year, it then did this again. And that's because Bitcoin Cash has regular upgrades every 6 months that require a hard fork of the currency. Now, a hard fork means that all users must upgrade their software to continue to use the network, whereas a soft fork is a software upgrade that is optional and backwards compatible with previous versions. Hard forks are an ideal time for disagreeing parties to attempt a chain split and to create a new competitor. And so in November of 2018, a group led by an Australian man claiming without evidence to be Satoshi Nakamoto decided that they were going to have themselves a schism, and Bitcoin Satoshi's Vision, aka Bitcoin SV or BSV, was created from the Bitcoin Cash chain.
I thought that was made from the Bitcoin chain.
You're incorrect.
Okay.
This was the first time Bitcoin Cash had a schism of its own. However, it may not be the last.
Is it? Did all of the other, because there's like 10,000 BTC clones.
So yeah,
you're all broke off from BTC?
Correct. So what you're referring to, there weren't 10,000 of them, but there are at least several dozen of them. So after Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash had their schism in 2017, there were a bunch of Me Too schisms that happened.
They saw how much money was made, and they're just like, yeah, I'm doing that.
Right. So there was Bitcoin Diamond, and there was Bitcoin whatever, all these other Bitcoin, minor little things
Private,
that really, in a lot of cases, weren't even worth the time that you would have to deal with them to cash in on them.
There have almost certainly been 10,000 coins developed at least.
Oh, yeah, I addressed that earlier. I addressed that earlier.
Let's not confuse the scenario here, because we're talking about hard forking versus soft forking versus cloning and a whole bunch of things. You understand the difference, but a lot of people don't.
But I explained that earlier in the article where I pointed out that anyone can do what's called a fork of the code, where you just copy the code, tweak some things, and then launch your own cryptocurrency from the start. And there have been thousands of those things done. Many thousands are dead, completely dead, and several thousand are still moving forward. But we're talking about the types of chain forks, the one where it started from the original Bitcoin and it's on the chain as the thing's going. It splits as it's going into two separate things. So that's specifically what we're talking about here. So
that's what we call a hard fork, right?
Well, no, a hard fork can just be a software upgrade.
Okay.
We're talking about a chain fork.
Chain fork, thank you.
Okay, where the blockchain itself splits into two separate competing blockchains.
Okay.
So that's what happened with Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash splitting for the first time in 2017. Then nobody mentioned these other little Bitcoin BTC splits that happened. They're not even worth talking about. And then Bitcoin SV came off of the Bitcoin Cash chain. So that was the first time Bitcoin Cash's chain had split off. And now that brings us closer to where we are today.
Okay.
So then in the story, I apologize for all of the backstory, but I feel it's necessary to tell it in that in detail to bring new users up to speed on why things are happening. This electronic cash is like nothing we've ever seen before, and there is a learning curve. As a founder of Bitcoin Embassy New Hampshire, I don't want people to be in the dark if they don't want to be, and a little bit of knowledge is useful for those willing to learn. Sure, you can ignore all this stuff, and probably everything will be fine, but there is a chance of some confusing things happening, and so we bring our story to the current day. 2 years after Bitcoin Cash schisming into Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV, Bitcoin Cash is once again facing another looming chain split on November 15th. Plus, it's looking like the possible drama factor could be higher than ever. What's happening this time? Bitcoin Cash's most visible programmer, Amaury Sachet, who we interviewed at Anarchapulco one year.
Yes.
He's got that sachet cachet.
And smart guy, no doubt, has called for an upgrade to send 8% of the mining rewards to the Bitcoin Cash programmers.
Right.
Now, mining rewards go to the miner who successfully mines a given block to the blockchain. The rewards are currently made up of the 6.25 Bitcoin Cash block reward that are mined into existence with each block, and the total amount of transaction fees collected for that block's transactions. Normally, miners keep 100% of the mining rewards, but Sachet's proposal changes that to 92%. So far, the miners who are currently mining are signaling their opposition to this planned upgrade, so there's a chance it won't get off.
Because people don't want to give 8% of their money to somebody else.
Right.
No matter whether it's a good idea or a bad idea, they don't want to do it.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you're looking to invest money on technical merit, my guess is the way to do that is to go with the coins where the programmers are getting paid, because it's a lot easier to think the big thoughts when you know you've got enough peanut butter.
Well, that presumes that the miners are going to back that, and that's ultimately the question. So the miners...
Some miners will, and that's the thing.
The question is how many, and that's the thing we don't know. So, because ultimately it's the miners who decide these things. There's plenty of fans
out there.
It's
the users who decide these things, because when the miners disagree, the users get to choose a fork.
This is true, but ultimately, if the users don't have miners, then they don't have anything to choose. So you got to have the miners, otherwise you won't have anything.
There have to be a certain number of miners, but the world's never wanting for a particular miner. They're
looking for profit.
Are interchangeable, so if they can make a penny more on a different coin, they'll go there.
Yeah, that's for most of the miners. That's true.
How it's supposed to be.
But right now, if you go and you look at statistics, look over at cash.coin.dance and click on mining, you can see that the vast supermajority, like 98% of the blocks that are being mined, are signaling support for staying the course, not going with the 8%. But that could change, as I address here in just a moment. So there's a chance.
As a programmer, I'm kind of liking the 8% thing.
Right. So there's a chance that...
And there are programmers that are going with it.
No doubt. And so there's a chance that this new thing won't get off the ground at all and nothing will change. So that is a possible future on Sunday the 15th, is that this thing will die in the crib, basically, and be snuffed out and won't happen.
But then the founder of Bitcoin Cash has... attempted a hard fork and failed, and then what's that do for his currency within the sphere?
I don't know.
I don't either.
And what will he do? Will he walk from the project entirely at that point? I don't know. However, the supporters of the 8% programmer's fee could turn on a bunch of mining power on the day of the possible split that they don't have on yet. And then it could actually happen.
It's been done.
Anybody got used mining rigs sitting around? I might fire up a couple.
The supporters of the 8% fee are, well, the thing is, you can buy hashing power online without even having to get the actual hardware.
Trust those bastards.
I've tried it. It works. The supporters of the 8% fee, well, we'll tell you a little bit more about them coming up here in a moment. So it sounds like nobody might be on their side on this, which is interesting, because I wanted to find out where you guys, or how you were thinking about it. More coming up.
Maxwell, he was scratching and losing some hair. My vet, she said, oh, he must be allergic to chicken. Another vet said, eat the grain. Third vet said, it's the weather. Then somebody said, DINOVITE.com. It took 2 weeks, and the dog stopped itching, the hair stopped falling out. The Dinovite is a big part of Maxwell's diet.
You get some Dinovite, how happy your dog will be.
DINOVITE.com. Mounds and mounds of fur. Our hairballs have hairballs.
Our cat Mama, she's 10 years old. She has dandruff and an oily coat.
I have 2 cats, Sweet Pea and Daisy. Daisy sheds like crazy.
If you love your pets as much as I do, you want to do what's best for them, to live long, healthy, happy lives.
DINOVITE.com. I just tried this wonderful Catalicious Dinovite for cats, and my cat has been on it for 2 weeks. She is not scratching anymore. She's not chewing anymore. It is just the best.
I was thrilled when I heard Dinovite for cats was coming out, because I'd seen the changes in my dog. To introduce my cat to Dinovite, I took the advice from Dinovite and put their food on top of just a scoop in the bowl, just to get them used to it, because I know if I even switch one little thing, they put their nose up to it. There was not one problem.
Dinovite for life. You won't believe how happy your cat will be.
DINOVITE.com.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive, and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by DJ Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Masternode platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up what you want here. We're talking about the world of cryptocurrency and the contentious chain fork, the type of thing that shows very similar to a schism in a religion where two groups of people who previously agreed on a thing become at loggerheads and they disagree on a thing and then they split up. And sometimes it can be acrimonious and quite nasty. Probably most of the time, that's the
there could be only one.
That's just bad. That's just because people can't. They just can't handle disagreeing with people.
Yeah, why not just go your own way and do your own thing? That's the other thing that I've never understood about these forks that have happened is they're so nasty when you look at the supporters. They still keep attacking the other side even after the fork's done. Like, focus on your own project.
This is the same as with anything, though. I mean, take a look at marriages when they end. I mean, we don't want to live with each other anymore. So now we have to be total a-holes with each other. I mean, what a ridiculous thing.
Look at the Democratic and Republican Party who would rather, cut each person in the country in half than just cut the country in half and deal with only being able to rule half of it.
So we're talking about what's going to possibly happen this weekend where Bitcoin Cash may have its second internal split. First one happened in 2018, about a year after it came into existence, when Bitcoin SV went its own way from Bitcoin Cash. And many people argue that Bitcoin SV is truly Satoshi's vision and that it's more, key on what the original Bitcoin was than any of its other wannabes. So, and they've got some interesting technology that they've been working on. If you can ignore the guy at the helm, who is a clear charlatan, in my opinion, of Bitcoin SV, the guys at AnyPay are big fans of the technical aspects of the project.
The thing is, technically, anybody can start that chain over from scratch, running the same software with zero because basically the money that's already held in a Bitcoin in Bitcoin represents the capital of the people who developed it and created it and first marketed, and they accumulated a lot of capital that way, but it's a liability to the chain. The chain has to pay back that debt in real goods at some point. If you start a block at the Genesis block, you start with the same assets that Bitcoin has. Better assets than Bitcoin has.
Well, I think we might be getting a little too far into the weeds, but what you're saying is What you're saying, let me see if I understand what you're saying. You're saying starting it over, you have, there's benefits to starting over, like all the thousands of other cryptos. The difference is you're starting at zero and you don't have an installed user base. You don't have anybody competing for mining, whereas if you split from an existing Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash, then it's this big deal. And then there's all these people that come on board. They've already got the stuff, because when the split happens, if you had 1.5 Bitcoin at the time Bitcoin split into Bitcoin Cash, you then had 1.5 Bitcoin Cash as well. So when you split off an existing chain, you kind of get all these installed users.
That's true, but you only get some of the mind share. And how much mind share you get, mind share,
like brain share,
brain share, yeah.
Okay. And that much is true, because it gets confusing, and that's kind of the point that I wanted.
It's not always rational. Bitcoin Cash was clearly the more rational coin than BTC,
but it's only worth 1.5% of a BTC.
But BTC is, I think, it is in a speculative bubble.
So the supporters of this 8% fee, so again, Bitcoin Cash may split. One side wants 8% of the mining rewards to go to the programmers. The other side says, nope, let's keep going in the same direction, where all the programmers basically have to ask for donations. So that's like the current status quo. The supporters of the 8% fee are being referred to in various places as Bitcoin Cash ABC or BCHA, and they have their own software. The opposition, who are running different software, are referred to frequently as Bitcoin Cash Node, or BCHN. Now, neither of these names are particularly catchy, but the important thing to note here is both of these camps are going to be fighting over the name Bitcoin Cash. Because crypto is decentralized, it will be up to the market to decide. In recent days, various exchanges and other cryptocurrency service providers, like wallets, have been announcing their plans on how they'll be handling the possible schism. As you might imagine, it's a patchwork. Many are preemptively choosing a winner and siding with BCHN, the stay the course side. Others are saying they'll be watching the situation closely and awarding the Bitcoin Cash moniker and ticker symbol of BCH to whichever chain wins the mining hash war that could occur based on various factors. So somebody might, some exchange may decide that the name Bitcoin Cash will go to the chain that is the longest chain, the most arguably successful chain. Some will be deciding based on price. They'll say, well, we'll call whatever is the highest price one Bitcoin Cash. But either way, they have their ideas for what they're going to do, but they're all kind of different. Others are saying, going on, it wasn't really a big deal when Bitcoin SV split off from Bitcoin Cash, as Bitcoin SV never tried to call itself Bitcoin Cash.
Right.
So as confusing as chain splits are to a new user, at least there wasn't confusion in naming. Now with two competing groups vying for the Bitcoin Cash name, the potential for confusion is very high. So that's to me the big problem here.
Basically, the people that are splitting off are going for. They want
to confuse people,
the crown of what is Bitcoin Cash, and this is what Bitcoin Cash did when in the split with Bitcoin originally.
They did want to be called Bitcoin.
They wanted to be the one with the crown, and this is the difficulty: is that it's like that argument when husband and wife are splitting up. I want the house. No, I want the house. And in this case, you can't pay the other side off very easily.
Actually, you can.
Okay.
And that is probably the way to solve this sort of thing. Is imagine that before the schism, okay, you and another person took a one coin each and joined them together and said, these two coins will go with the blockchain that doesn't get the name. Okay?
So like creating a kitty for whoever the loser is?
Exactly. You're creating a kitty for the guy who says the amount of money in the kitty is worth more than the name.
Now, that would be a neat idea, but because these things are so contentious, you don't see that sort of thing.
Well, the thing is, other people, you don't even need to make any arrangements with them. If you hold the coin before the split, you'll get both. So you can always make an agreement with some other random person that, hey, I'll trade you my BCH and you give me your BTC. Obviously, it's not those.
Well, there
letters.
already are what they call futures markets on some of these exchanges where you can put in your Bitcoin Cash right now before the schism happens and start trading based on what you think is going to occur. But ultimately, that doesn't do what you're talking about, where you're saying you want to offer the programmers this extra money to just walk away from the claim of being Bitcoin Cash. And I think that's an interesting proposal, but no one is making that proposal. It's all contentious. It's all, cat fight, and
this is
winner take all.
A lot of these things, these Bitcoin forks look a lot like, computer geeks in a slap fight.
Yeah, basically.
See, that's why this computer geek trained in martial arts.
Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. So that's my biggest concern here, is for the confusion aspect of this. It's already been confusing with all these forks over time, and now to have one where they're actually fighting over the name is like the worst of the possible worst. So the next question is, what can you do about this? If you're somebody who has Bitcoin Cash or thinking about getting it, what do you do? What are your options? I'm going to outline 4 simple solutions coming up in moments. It's Free Talk Live.
News from news.bitcoin.com. A 1 million ounce gold find in Russia raises questions if Bitcoin is more rare than gold. The Bitcoin market is expected to be volatile until the end of the year. Study shows that half of U.S. investors interested in adding Bitcoin to their portfolio. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com.
Divi's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divi's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to diviproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from diviproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. diviproject.org. D-I-V-I project.org.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You dial in, toll-free number here. It is 855-450-FREE. Like freedom, that's 855-450-3733. We mentioned the thousands of cryptocurrency options out there that aren't Bitcoin, and Divi is one of them. So why should you look at Divi? Well, because they've got some pretty neat features, like their easy-to-use Masternode system. Now, what is a Masternode? Without getting into detail, it is a node on the system that does more than your typical full node, which means that it provides certain services to the network and is rewarded for doing that. You do need to have some Divi in order to become a Masternode, and if you want to acquire some, you can get that at exchanges, or you can go directly through the Divi team. Go and learn first about it over there at their website, diviproject.org, D-I-V-I project.org. It's a neat little project run by some pretty libertarian guys that we met over at the Anarchapulco event a few years ago. And they've been with us now for more than a year here on Free Talk Live. And so far, it's been a pretty good deal for Free Talk Live. I think we took in some Divi at less than a cent per Divi or something like that when it first came in, Mark, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, it was 0.3 cents.
Yeah, and earlier this year, it shot up like 10x.
To 7 cents a piece. Yeah.
So you can learn more about it, diviproject.org. Obviously, past performance is not an indicator of future success, but we think it's a pretty neat project.
It's not bad.
So we're going to go into what can you do. We've outlined the challenge. We've outlined the difficulties, the confusion created in some cases by these Bitcoin schisms, or what they call chain forks or chain splits. And there's a good chance that one's going to happen on Sunday. Now, it's possible it might not happen at all. But the way it looks, seems like the sides on this conflict are going to go their separate ways. So we'll see how that plays out. Obviously, we can't predict the future, but something is going to happen possibly on Sunday the 15th. And after the fact, if you have Bitcoin Cash, you may have the same amount of Bitcoin Cash in this new thing, whatever that'll be called. We still aren't even sure which of these two sides will get the name Bitcoin Cash. So there's a lot of question marks up in the air. So what can you do? Here's 4 options I came up with, and you guys are welcome to weigh in if I missed something here.
All right.
Number 1, do nothing. If the chain splits,
who is doing it?
People who have Bitcoin Cash.
Okay.
So if the chain splits, some wallets will support both chains. And you could buy Bitcoin Cash prior to the 15th, and then you would have to make this choice. So some wallets will support both chains. The chain split means whatever amount of Bitcoin Cash you have at the time of the split, you'll get the same exact amount of the newly split coin, whatever your wallet decides to call it. Unless your wallet won't be supporting one of them, in which case you technically still have the new coins, but you may have to move your balance to a wallet that is supporting the split in order to see them both. Because
you don't move your balance to a wallet. You copy it like you copy your Mozilla password database.
It depends, because not all wallets, nobody have the same sort of backup systems. So one wallet's code words may not work with other wallets. So
you can still put in the same private keys, though.
If you have access to those things. Now you're getting into, again, the kind of the weeds of how things. It's a lot easier. If you've got Bitcoin Cash, it costs you less than a cent. It's a lot easier to just move the coins than to have to deal with private keys and such. But that could cause problems if you do. So again, we're talking about the do nothing option here, right? You could do nothing, and but then later you might have to deal with that if you want to break out the coins to have access to them. So you could also sell off your Bitcoin Cash and avoid the whole thing.
Yeah.
So you could do that before Sunday, then you don't have to worry about it.
And that would be the presumption that somehow value wasn't created in the split, like that was going to be bad. Up to this point, heretofore, forks have been profitable for the holders.
maybe immediately they might have been in some cases, but not always. Like right now, for instance, if you held on to Bitcoin Cash and you got it at the original fork, you're looking at a fraction of its original value.
Yeah, but you still
That's
have
short term. I think long term, BCH will be worth more than Bitcoin.
It's a proposition. I don't know. I've been, I am holding BCH, and but what I'm saying is that even the person who who's all knowing and sells at exactly the right time, buys low and sells high, does well. But I bought BCH, or I should say, a person who had their Bitcoin split into BTC and BCH bought BCH at 0, and it doesn't matter what it's at right now, it's still a net positive.
But
So they
in some
benefited.
cases, though, Mark, if you didn't buy at 0, I don't know how you would have bought at 0, but
when it was 20,000 Bitcoin to a pizza.
Yeah,
Wait
so
a
near
second,
to
Ian.
0.
If I sold Bitcoin before the split of BCH, did I make money and went into USDs? Did I make money or not?
Oh, you were talking about if you sold it. Okay,
Right, that's
gotcha.
what I'm saying. You're saying the option is to sell. I'm saying selling doesn't sound like a good idea because heretofore forks have always been a net positive.
I don't think that's true. No, because sometimes I think, like for instance, if you look at Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, so you may be right about this, but my recollection is that what happened when Bitcoin SV came out was it carved its value out of Bitcoin Cash. So Bitcoin Cash was worth X, and then the fork happened into Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV, and then Bitcoin Cash was worth less than X because Bitcoin SV took that value out of it. So I don't know if that's always true. And then both of them have gone down in value since then compared to Bitcoin.
And some went up.
I wouldn't say they've gone down in value. They've gone
Compared
down
to Bitcoin.
in price.
Okay, price.
The market can frequently stay irrational
for a long time.
Longer than you can stay solvent.
So look, this is just an option. And in fact, I say here that you also avoid, so if you sell before the split, you avoid, or possible split, you avoid any drama, but you also avoid the possible benefit of having both of the new Bitcoin Cash competitors after the possible split. So that's an option, it's a risk you can take. You could also, number 3, move all your Bitcoin Cash to the same wallet. So if you are expecting the chain to split, and it seems like it might, and have Bitcoin Cash in more than one wallet, you might want to move it all together to the same wallet before the 15th, preferably a wallet that's planning to support both coins. Because that way, when the split happens, if your wallet supports the split, bing, you got them both, and you're done.
Do you know some wallets that might do that?
No. At this point, Edge Wallet, I did reach out to today and ask them what they're planning on doing. They say that if the minority chain reaches 5%, and let me get the exact wording here. If the minority chain reaches 5% of the value of was it value the word that they 5% of the value of the majority, then they will support it. So they're kind of keeping their eyes open and they're not sure what they're going to do.
Okay.
So I would say Edge is probably one of the safer bets, but I don't know if any wallets have specifically come out saying they will definitely support both. And then so that makes it easier if you're splitting off your coins, if you have them all in one place, in case, if you've got 5 different Bitcoin Cash wallets with a little bit in each, just put it all together. It makes it easier. So number 4, final option is you can also move all your Bitcoin Cash to an exchange. Now note, it is risky to hold cryptocurrency on an exchange. That said, if you want to get both coins,
it's not risky in the sense that there's a great deal of risk. It's risky in the sense
there is
that
risk. You could get hacked.
There's
The
a
exchange
small
could get
amount
hacked.
of risk.
Well, also your exchange might not support the fork, which if they're holding the keys, you've lost.
That's correct. Yeah, you do want to send to an exchange that is supporting the fork. So it's risky to hold on an exchange. That said, if you want to get both coins at the time of the possible schism and have the immediate ability to trade away the coins you don't want, so let's say you picked a favorite, right? So like nobody says he likes the 8% proposal.
Yeah.
Maybe he wants to sell the other one. I'm not saying you do, but
and
if
I think
you
we
did,
should give it a name that's not Bitcoin Cash. We'll call it Pirate Coin.
Sure, I think they already have that. Actually, it's ARRR. That's actually the cost or the trading symbol for it. So you might want to look into that.
We'll do a hostile takeover. That's what pirates do.
But it's already a Zcash privacy coin, so you probably will like it once you look at it.
Maybe we could bond to it.
I think that it's important to point out here that if you decide to send your cryptocurrency, your Bitcoin Cash, to an exchange on the day of,
no, you want to do it before.
You want to do it the day before, because if you decide to do it the day of, there's going to be transaction time to send it there. There's going to be time for the exchange.
And they're going to freeze the deposits at a certain point, too, so you won't even be able to past a certain point.
Right. The exchange is going to take a while to see it. And transactions, especially on the new coin, whatever that might be hours in between. That's what happened with Bitcoin Cash back in the day.
There's a slowdown, a mining slowdown.
A big mining slowdown. So whatever you're going to do it now.
Right, do it tonight or tomorrow. That said, so again, if you send it to an exchange, you want to make sure you send it to one that will support both coins, like the CoinEx exchange at coinex.com. They're not an advertiser, but I just happen to know that they support both of the coins because they're a Bitcoin Cash-based exchange. There's more coming up here. It's Free Talk Live.
At 58 years of age, I noticed a dramatic energy decline. After a 5-day work week, I had to use one of my days off to rest and recover. I also had cut my gym visits down from 3 times a week to once a week. Since I began using Green Meadow Whey, my energy level has greatly improved. I no longer have to take a day to recover. I have increased my gym visits back to 3 times a week. I'm actually more active and feeling better now than I have in the last 5 years. It's so nice to wake up in the morning feeling good and ready to go. Before trying Green Meadow Whey, I must have tried every whey protein product on the market, and every one of them caused me bloating, gas, and constipation. I've had no such issues with Green Meadow Whey. In fact, I'm sleeping better, my vision has improved, and surprisingly, my emotional and mental state has also improved. I love what Green Meadow Whey has done for me.
Green Meadow Whey comes from milk derived from grass-pastured cows. To order, call 888-988-3325 or visit greenmeadowwhey.com.
When you have a pain in the neck, a real pain in the neck, back, shoulder, or legs, you now have 2 convenient choices to get fast relief without taking another pill. Because now, Sunny Bay heating wraps and pillows are available at both Amazon and Walmart. Yes, see Sunny Bay's 4.5 to 5-star customer reviews on Amazon.com or Walmart.com. Our made in the USA microwavable heat wraps, heatable neck pillows, and extra large body wraps are designed better for perfect support where and when you need it. Even while driving, Sunny Bay wraps will not burn and stay balanced to provide soothing hot or cold therapy to help treat temporary or chronic pain. And the best part? Sunny Bay quality products start at under $20. Join thousands of happy customers and see why Sunny Bay products have a lifetime 100% positive rating on both Amazon and Etsy. It's easy. Click Amazon or Walmart and search today for Sunny Bay.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything that you want here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
Nobody.
And Mark.
We're going to go to your phone calls and thoughts, but just one more point from the story that we've been discussing for the first couple hours of the show now. What could be happening this weekend? A Bitcoin Cash schism, an internal argument between two sides. One side says they want 8% of the mining rewards to go to the programmers, and supposedly this fund is controlled by one man. So it's different than, let's say, what Dash has been doing since the beginning. So Dash, cryptocurrency that we promoted a long time ago here on Free Talk Live, I still like it. It's just had a tough last few years versus the price of Bitcoin. But Dash, when they created that, they created a governance structure within Dash that allowed the masternodes to vote on a 10% kitty. And that 10% sort of kitty, this pot, they can make proposals that cost a little bit of Dash, like 5 Dash, to propose. And then the masternodes can vote on these proposals. Well, the programmers make proposals, and they say, hey, we should get all this Dash. You should vote for us to get this Dash. And there's other proposals to, like, advertise Dash in South America or on an airline, or, there's been, there was like a Dash jet or race car.
They advertised
or
here
like that.
in that same way at one point.
So there's all these proposals every month, and there's all this voting and this sort of healthy argumentation about what the direction things should go. So the programmers get paid out of that 10%, but they don't get the whole 10%. They get paid what they ask for most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But if they were doing a crappy job, presumably the masternodes could vote it down, and then they'd have to repropose, or new programmers could propose something else. In the case of the Bitcoin Cash proposal, it's just a flat across the board 8% is going to this address. This Bitcoin Cash address that is purportedly controlled by Amaury Séchet, who is the top programmer behind Bitcoin Cash.
Oh, so it's not going to the programmers, it's going
supposedly,
to a
through
programmer.
Him. And maybe it'll split into other programmers' wallets from there. I don't know. I don't know what they've got or proposed to have as far as how that's going to work. Mm-hmm. But the people, the supporters of that currency will either be able to support it or oppose it. There won't be any kind of voting or any kind of governance from anybody. It'll just be whatever Séchet and his boys, say, essentially.
Wow.
So I don't know.
Basically, what I would do with it is I would have the miners basically say, okay, miners, you have to devote 8% of the block to the programmers, but you each get to use your part of it to vote on bug bounties. So decide what bug or what feature you want to invest that 8% in, and pass it on to that as a bug bounty to the person who or a team that writes that feature.
That way you don't just have a bunch of programmers dicking around and not doing anything or whatever, right? Like
exactly, because
8%.
Basically my intention was that I was going to drop all of my money into or all of the church's money into BCH. The
8% version, you mean?
Well, into first just regular BCH,
right before the split,
and then I would hold both sides until it became clear which one I thought would go in the right technical direction, which is the right technical direction is that everybody involved should get paid. Everybody who's doing something necessary to the maintenance of the ecosystem should get paid.
And I get where they're coming from, right? Like they want to make sure that that's something they can count on instead of having to spend their time asking for money. But there's also a benefit to that in that if you're asking for money, you have to show results. And if you're just getting money, then you don't really have to show results.
But you are still asking for money because you have the coin, but you have to prove to the consumer that it has value.
True. They could walk away from it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And
so
then stop mining it.
You're still asking them for money at the time you liquidate.
So whatever
Just
you
like
decide,
stock.
so you can do different things. You can do nothing. You can sell off your Bitcoin Cash and avoid any controversy. You could move all your Bitcoin Cash to the same wallet if you're expecting the schism. It'll make it easier, especially if it's a wallet that supports it. Or you can move all your Bitcoin Cash to an exchange that's going to support the schism, and then you'll have both immediately. You can start trading right away if you want to take a risk and figure who the winner is going to be. But whatever you decide to do, you should probably do it before November 15th, as many wallets, exchanges, and other services will be freezing all Bitcoin Cash transactions transactions as November 15th gets closer, in preparation for the possible schism. Also, if the chain split occurs and a new Bitcoin Cash competitor is born, the new coin will not have what is called replay protection, and the replay attack will be possible. Now, this makes it dangerous to send Bitcoin Cash transactions until wallet providers can update their software to ensure safety, or until the coins themselves add this replay protection.
Why won't it have relay protection?
Because they're not gonna. They didn't do it with the Bitcoin SV schism either until later. SV put in replay protection later on, and the same thing's going to happen here. So it would be wise to be patient.
A replay is basically it's not really a replay. It's putting the same transaction out on both blocks.
Well, without getting into, I linked to a detailed article about what replay attacks are, where you can actually read and really kind of get an understanding of this. But essentially, it allows if there's no replay protection, you could send a transaction
to the wrong chain.
No, what it means is if I sent, let's say you were a scam artist, Mark, and I sent something to buy a thing from you. I sent some Bitcoin Cash, and now there's this new Bitcoin Cash ABC as well. So we have two of these things. I send what I think is Bitcoin Cash to you. Well, you're a bad guy, so you can then take the hash or whatever, and you can resend out the transaction on the other blockchain that I didn't intend to do, and you can essentially spend my other coins into your same wallet without my permission.
Yeah,
so
a key, basically, a key is not a key. It's not an object. It's a secret.
Right.
And once you've exposed that secret, anybody can make use of that knowledge, and you have to expose the secret in order to move it to the next wallet.
Right. So if you don't move anything after the fork, then you're fine. They can't do the replay attack on you.
Just
but
give
this
it
is a
week or
possibility.
so, right?
I would say give it some time and keep an eye on the forums and keep an eye, call in or whatever, and look, talk to the community and see what's going on with this. And a lot of times the wallet providers will send out an announcement saying, okay, you're okay to go forward with these transactions.
See, what I would do is probably, because you've got the same information too, when you spend on one chain, you should immediately move the coin on the other chain into another wallet,
just to be safe,
so that you've moved it before anybody else has a chance to it.
Or you could move it first to the other wallet, then spend the other coin.
Either way. Yeah. So basically, or move it to two separate wallets under your control.
So that's good advice. Let's go to your phone calls and thoughts. That's the story here. That's what's coming up this weekend. If you want to weigh in on this, and Mark, I haven't gotten your opinion on this. We'll get to that too, as far as what you think might happen, your predictions. Let's go first, though, to Vernon. He's calling from Louisiana. Vernon, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
So I'd like to draw a parallel and get your all's opinion on if it might be correct, and two, if it would be good or bad. So the world of Bitcoin seems very, very complicated. It seems very split. It keeps splitting. I think you talk about this annually or semi-annually. So my question is
like
this
looking at a tractor with a case off?
I'm sorry?
It's like looking at a computer or a tractor with the case off. You're looking at the guts of the machine, not a polished exterior. That hasn't been
parallel
written
I'd
yet.
like to draw, and again, I don't know if this is a good one or not. Is this a preview of how a libertarian-based society would be in just a general sense?
I don't know. I mean, as far as the schisms and these sorts of things, I wouldn't be able to say one way or the other, but I will say that humans don't do great in large groups. We're a small group primate, and at some point or another, the group gets so large that they split up.
Always happens.
I mean, history's replete
with
groovy. Examples.
It's exactly how it should be. The problem with America is America's too damn big. And
it's time to split it up.
Yeah, exactly. It's time to split it up. It's time to go not 50 separate ways, but 1,000 separate ways.
It's not a libertarian thing as much as it is a human thing. Again, as I mentioned in the story, whether it's sports teams or whether it's religions having schisms or cryptocurrencies or politics, we see it in so many different aspects of our lives. So I don't think we can get away from this.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for your response. I have another question.
Yeah.
I have been trying to follow all night. I've been listening for almost an hour or so. I don't know anything about Bitcoin, and what you're talking about makes me want to try it even less. So can you maybe after the top of the hour or whatever, talk about, for someone beginning like me, what is the easiest way that I can do this to where it functions basically like a debit card or my bank account? Like, I don't have to worry about my bank account splitting off. I can use my debit card pretty much anywhere. Is there any way or is there any trick or anything that I might be missing from all of this?
Sure.
Yeah, stand by, Vernon. Good question. Coming up here, we'll try to answer that. Is there a way to use Bitcoin like a debit card? Well, there are Bitcoin-backed debit cards, specifically. More coming up.
Mounds and mounds of fur. Our hairballs have hairballs.
Our cat Mama, she's 10 years old. She has dandruff and an oily coat.
I have 2 cats, Dixie and Daisy. Daisy sheds like crazy.
If you love your pets as much as I do, you want to do what's best for them to live long, healthy, happy lives.
DINOVITE.com. I just tried this wonderful Catalicious Dynovite for cats, and my cat has been on it for 2 weeks. She is not scratching anymore. She's not chewing anymore. It is just the best.
I was thrilled when I heard Dynovite for cats was coming out because I'd seen the changes in my dog. To introduce my cats to Dynovite, I took the advice from Dynovite and put their food on top of just a scoop in the bowl, just to get them used to it, because I know if I even switch one little thing, they put their nose up to it. There was not one problem.
Dynovite for life. You won't believe how happy your cat will be.
DINOVITE.com.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Another state hits a milestone. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. California joining Texas in recording 1 million cases of COVID-19, according to tabulations from Johns Hopkins University, as a deal is struck to distribute vaccines once they're approved.
With a goal to make getting COVID-19 vaccines as easy as a flu shot, the Health and Human Services Department announced an agreement with major chain drugstores such as Rite Aid and Walgreens and grocery market pharmacies, as well as Costco, to distribute vaccines once approved. HHS Secretary Alex Azar says the vast majority of Americans live within 5 miles of a pharmacy. The agreement, he says, is a critical step toward making sure all Americans have access to a free COVID-19 vaccine.
Fox's Jared Halpern. Health officials in Massachusetts say confirmed deaths from COVID-19 has surpassed 10,000, and they say the actual toll may be much higher. Lawyers for the Pennsylvania Secretary of State and 7 counties are asking a federal judge to toss a lawsuit filed by the Trump campaign seeking to prevent the state from certifying its election results, as an election official in Philadelphia says he's found no evidence of fraud.
The top Republican election official here in Philadelphia, City Commissioner Al Schmidt, says that the president's claims about voter fraud are wrong. Schmidt fears that the greatest danger to our republic and the future of our country are these unfounded claims of voter fraud, that people would then not have confidence in the election system and the very tenets of our democracy. By the way, he does say that voters can have every confidence when the election here is finally certified. That's coming in 11 days.
Fox's Eric Shawn. The Trump campaign has also taken legal action in the state of Nevada, where the Attorney General says there's no evidence of fraud or irregularities, and is urging people who are making claims of fraud to come forward. America is listening to Fox News.
This holiday season, more people will be mailing stuff than ever before. Stamps.com brings the post office and now UPS shipping right to your computer, so you can mail and ship anything from the convenience of your home or office. With Stamps.com, you can print postage on demand and save money with deep discounts you can't even get at the post office. Like 5 cents off every stamp, up to 40% off priority mail, and up to 62% off UPS shipping rates. Print official stamps and labels right from your computer for any letter, package, or class of mail, anywhere you want to send. Once your mail's ready, schedule a pickup or drop it off. It's a no-brainer. Don't spend a minute of this holiday season at the post office. Right now, listeners get a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale with no long-term commitment. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and type in Fox. Stamps.com. Enter Fox. Go right now to Stamps.com. Enter Fox.
President-elect Biden continues to make contact with world leaders.
Japan, South Korea and Australia say their leaders have all held phone calls with Joe Biden, joining other American allies in recognizing him as president-elect.
I can let you know that I had a very warm call with President-elect Biden this morning.
Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison says he has no concerns about the transition of power, even as President Trump refuses to concede.
No, I'm not concerned, and we will respect the processes that the United States have. This is not the first transition from one president to another.
The president-elect has also spoken with European leaders, but there have been no calls reported yet with China or Russia. Simon Owen, Fox News.
A report from the Justice Department has found former Labor Secretary Alex Acosta used what it called poor judgment in handling an investigation into Jeffrey Epstein while Acosta was a federal prosecutor in Florida. Epstein was a wealthy financier accused of sexually abusing young girls.
Hamburglar urges a Senate subcommittee to rubble. This is Doyle Redland reporting. Hamburger advocate and convicted felon Hamburglar denounced a prison system he called rubble as he testified before the Senate subcommittee on penal reform. Hamburglar, convicted in 1998 of breaking and entering a McDonald's hamburger franchise in South Beloit, Wisconsin, and currently serving a sentence of 3 to 5 years, made this impassioned plea before being interrupted by U.S. Senator Bob Smith of Rhode Island.
Certainly there is room for improvement in our prison system, but I would hardly call the current situation rubble.
After delivering his message to the subcommittee, Hamburglar was promptly placed in chains and returned to prison to serve out the remainder of his sentence in solitary confinement. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
The CEO of Dollar Tree unveils the long-rumored foil baking pan. A new donor liver complains about the difficulty of working with Lou Reed. And a local couple keeps their marriage together for the sake of no one. We'll keep this as quick and painless as possible. This is the Onion Week in Review. A study published this week in the Journal of Financial Economics found that 83% of gamblers quit right before they would have hit the big one. Researchers confirmed that roughly 8 out of 10 gamblers who walked away from slot machines, poker games, horse races, roulette, and other games were consistently just a single stake away from winning it all, and unknowingly gave up a lifetime of fortune by quitting prematurely.
Our study proved that subjects who closed an online poker session, walked away from a slot machine, or even gave up gambling altogether would have won millions of dollars in the next bet. Also, people who walk away after hitting it big are missing out on a chance to make more money. I mean, when you're hot, you're hot.
In other news, an Asian guy has a separate group of Asian friends, and a vain Galapagos tortoise tries to pass for 90.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live, indeed. You can dial in here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. In the studio with you tonight, it's Ian.
Nobody believes that Epstein didn't kill himself.
and Mark doesn't either. Or does. I'm not sure.
So we've got a question on the line here. Vernon in Louisiana. He's actually still on the line. We'll bring him back on
Vern?
Here in just a moment. And he was asking a more general question because, you know, and as I said at the beginning of the first 2 hours of the show that we spent talking about Bitcoin Cash and potential schism this weekend coming up on Sunday and what all that means. And if you missed that discussion, you can go to freekeen.com and read the story. When you just read the thing straight through, it might not take more than 10 minutes, but it took us 2 hours to discuss it. And so, you know, I don't want to scare people away from Bitcoin. And some people will say, well, why are you talking about this then? Because it is complicated. It is annoying.
Also, No one else will.
There's plenty of people in the crypto universe that are talking about it.
How many of them are on nationally syndicated radio?
None of them.
Okay. Nobody in competition with us will. Nobody who has the microphone.
In cooperation with
no one who has the microphone that we do. I mean, there's lots of great podcasts out there, but you've got to go get a podcast. Whereas a radio show goes to people's cars while they're driving along, and in some cases, their homes.
That's right. Well, Vernon,
speaking of which, be sure to tune in to Nobody Tells the Truth tomorrow night at 10:30.
That is only available on dlive.lrn.fm and twitch.lrn.fm, our video streaming platforms.
It's true.
Vernon had a question. I'm going to bring him back on because I don't want to, misrecap or recall his question. But essentially, hey, this is all really complicated. How do I use cryptocurrency like Bitcoin to just, pay my bills or use it like a debit card? Was that essentially your question, Vernon?
Well, and the stability. Like, I'd like to have it as stable as my bank account. If I put money into Bitcoin, I'd like to know that, just like my bank account, minus, the IRS or whatever taking it away, I want to make sure that my money is going to be safe. I understand that it'll go up and down in value, but then I also want to be able to use it as freely as I can my debit card, like a Visa or a MasterCard.
I would go with a gold-backed cryptocurrency. Or
do they exist?
Yeah, there's a number of them.
Okay. What I would do is I would get I would buy Bitcoin Cash, and I would stock an account at saveatpurse.com, and then you can buy the things that you buy on Amazon at a discount. Is it as easy to buy at Amazon? No, but there is an instructional video, and it is not terribly difficult because I did it.
More than once.
And
maybe dozens, if not hundreds of times.
I haven't done it dozens.
If you turn your money into bowling balls, it will be very stable in value over time.
Well, that is a big issue.
Not terribly liquid.
I think that's something that needs to be addressed here. So you're talking about a way to get a discount on products. And
yes, but he's talking about using the currency.
Yeah, and that's a way to do it.
It's a great way to use it.
It's not as easy as swiping a card, right? You're talking about you have to jump through a couple of hoops.
But you get a 20% discount.
Right. So yeah, of course, you got to do a little bit of work to get the 20% discount, right?
Yeah, but it's a little bit of work.
Yeah, it's not that much. You put an Amazon product over at saveatpurse.com, and then you go through the process of ordering it. It's not that hard.
The question
is, you
do
still have to acquire the crypto first.
Can you set up a circular trade like that? Is there something that you can buy on Amazon?
He's asking how to make it easy, not how to make it hard, Rich.
Well, how to make it profitable over time makes it easy. It's always easier when somebody's paying.
He didn't ask how to make it profitable. He asked how to make it easy.
He just wants to spend his money. But, I mean, what you're talking about, nobody, is the idea of using Purse to sell products. And our co-host on Friday nights, Chris Wade, actually does that. He buys inventory for his store online at Purse, saveatpurse.com, saves like 20% and then marks it up to whatever he normally marks it up to. So he actually gets a better price on his inventory.
It's brilliant.
There are some people who do that. Like
actually, that's the right circular trade.
That's what I thought you were talking about. So, but other businesses can do the same thing. So, like, let's say that you've got a restaurant. You need to buy paper towels or something for the bathroom. Well, you might be able to get. I don't know if it's true, but if Amazon sells those things, and you can knock 20% off the retail price, that may be better than what you were paying your wholesaler, Cisco, or whoever to deliver that stuff to you, right? So there are some interesting opportunities with that particular marketplace. But Vernon, to answer your question specifically about debit cards, they actually do have what they call crypto-fueled debit cards. So I actually have two of these in my wallet right now. One of them is from a company called Crypto.com, and the other is from a company called Uphold.com. Neither of these are advertisers. I got these cards just specifically to try it out, see how they worked, so I could be able to talk about them. Crypto.com I've had for almost a year. I started that in December of 2019. And it's been pretty good so far. They give you a crypto back. So whenever you swipe the card at retail, if it's a $100 purchase, you get 2% back in a crypto token, basically.
Is it Uphold that powers the wallets on the
Brave browser?
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah, okay. I've got a wallet with them too.
Yeah, so if you already have an Uphold.com account, which is sort of a Coinbase competitor, it's a centralized repository. They hold your coin, so it's not, like we were saying earlier, if you don't have your keys, you don't have your coins. So you're letting this other company do this for you, but that's how you have a debit card, is that they've got your coins. And the neat thing about
that's true of a bank too.
That's
if
exactly
they've
right.
got your money, they've got your money.
Yep, and they'll do what the government says.
They might not give it back.
Correct. But if you want to have a debit card, you got to have some sort of place to put your money in, and you can't control that, right? So the Uphold card is interesting because it's one of the only cards on the planet that and the new Coinbase one, because Coinbase just finally came out with another card again after having taken 2 years off or whatever. They had one previously and then they stopped, and now they've got one again.
Nice.
But Uphold and Coinbase are the only two that I know of where you can actually hold your crypto without having to convert it to dollars. So most of these debit cards that are crypto backed means that you have your Bitcoin, you have to then convert the Bitcoin into a dollar balance to load the card with a dollar balance. Meaning that whenever you spend on the card, you're just spending out of the dollar balance of the card that you originally put crypto in to get the dollar balance. Does that make sense, Vernon?
Yeah, sure.
I'm asking Vernon.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
So maybe you can briefly summarize how would I get, if I wanted to do this, I've never done this before, I don't know anything about this, and I just want to let's say I wanted to put $100 into a Bitcoin wallet. Like, what is the easiest way to do that, minus referring me to a website? Can you articulate to me what I should do?
Send an email to rich@electnobody.com. I'll take care of you.
That's one way to do it.
That's the easiest way.
There are a bunch of websites that'll do it. The wallets themselves, many of them have methods within them that you can do it via, like a credit card or a debit card or something like that. There's people like Nobody you can send cash through the mail to and do it that way, or other online services like PayPal or whatever. So there's a variety of different ways.
You can't send me PayPal. PayPal closed my account.
That's true. There are a variety of ways to do this, but just real fast, I wanted to say a little bit more about the difference between these cards out there. So the Uphold.com card allows you to hold a balance in the cryptocurrency itself. So you can hold your balance in Bitcoin and spend directly out of that. So that means that at the time that you make the purchase, it deducts the appropriate amount of Bitcoin from your Bitcoin account.
Yeah.
And then, the merchant gets dollars in their account.
I find that preferable because, while I'm right now with Bitcoin climbing, I wouldn't want, I don't want to spend a bunch of time turning crypto into USDs every time I want to make a transaction.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot easier for me to turn my crypto into USDs at the time that I make a purchase.
But let's address your other question, Vernon. Your concern was with stability, and we all know that Bitcoin is not a particularly stable thing.
And real quick, before we run out of time on this segment, are these debit cards part of the Visa or MasterCard?
They are. They are indeed.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, please continue.
Yeah, so stability is a concern for you. Now, obviously, if Bitcoin's going up, you're probably going to want to ride that, but you never know when it's going to go down again, right? So if you want to stay in what's something that you consider to be stable, you mentioned dollars. Now, we know dollars actually lose value over time because the Federal Reserve keeps printing them, but if that's what you consider to be stable, there are what they call stable coins, where you can actually have cryptocurrency tokens that are backed by dollars or backed by gold, as Nobody suggested earlier. Now, again, gold goes up, it goes down, but not as widely, as crazily usually as cryptocurrency.
Yeah, gold is much more stable, which means less profitable when it's going up, but less costly when it's going down.
And one of the neat things about that Uphold card is they have a gold-backed crypto account on Uphold, so you can actually have a debit card paid out of a gold-backed crypto, which is pretty neat. So thanks, Vernon, for the call. There's more coming up here in moments. It's Free Talk Live.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org. Freedom! Freedom is the call of the untamed Scotsman and all others that want to feel the wind under their kilts.
At Free Talk Live, we love the breezy, swinging feeling that only a kilt from Sport Kilt can give.
We teamed up with Sport Kilt to let you experience their form of freedom at a discount. Go to kilts.freetalklive.com and see a picture of Richie and me in our kilts.
And then head over to sportkilt.com. Get some stylish freedom for yourself and use code FTL for a 10% discount. Sportkilt.com.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions, or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
News from news.bitcoin.com. A 1 million ounce gold find in Russia raises questions if Bitcoin is more rare than gold. The Bitcoin market is expected to be volatile until the end of the year. Study shows that half of U.S. investors interested in adding Bitcoin to their portfolio. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com.
Uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what the readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. Freedomsphoenix.com, constantly providing the information, the real news about government policies, and the real relationship we all have with the coercive government. The real condition of the economy, innovations in technology, breakthroughs in energy, health, and computer science. Learn the truth well before it's admitted to in the lamestream media. The corporate media, nothing more than distributors of government propaganda, but now there's an alternative. freedomsphoenix.com. Constant news updates on the issues that affect your life in the most important ways. With liberty and property under constant attack, freedomsphoenix.com provides the understanding behind the propaganda, and it encourages the participation of its readers. Go to freedomsphoenix.com. That's freedoms with an S, phoenix.com. freedomsphoenix.com. The revolution between the ears has already happened.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
It is Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything you want. Our toll-free number, 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. And with you in the studio tonight, you got Ian.
Nobody.
And Mark.
We're going to go back to your phone calls and thoughts. Also, still to come, door-to-door public survey in Texas. They'll also be collecting your blood samples. Or they'll try, at least. We'll see how that works
Somebody's
out.
going to be collecting somebody's blood samples, but who's remains to be seen.
Yeah, we go to your calls, your thoughts. But first, I do want to tell you about Intercoin. Communities issue their own currency backed by Intercoin. They can choose to inflate the circulating supply of their own money to spend on internal projects, or they can choose to tax certain transactions and remove money from circulation. These activities deterministically change the exchange rate of the community's local money to Intercoin without without affecting the other communities or the rest of the Intercoin ecosystem. Each community can choose its own policies and openly program them into their coins. Each individual can choose what coins to get and how to spend them with upfront knowledge of what they're getting into. Intercoin is attempting to regain some of our freedoms that are threatened on the internet and in meat space. We think that's important here on Free Talk Live, so we accepted $40,000 worth of Intercoin tokens from Intercoin Incorporated for advertising. If you think freedom is important too, check out Intercoin at intercoin.org. You can invest in this project and potentially make big gains or just be involved and perhaps shape its future. Intercoin.org. So we go back to your calls and thoughts. Gene, the Christian anarchist, on the line in Tennessee, watching us on our DLive stream at dlive.lrn.fm. Hello, Gene.
Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. That's the sound of a time bomb, and the time bomb is called TikTok.
Really?
So
the app?
I think it's pretty certain that apps and social media are using AI to shape the feed that's sent to the user. I think we see it all the time in YouTube and Google ads and stuff.
It's certainly an algorithm.
All prices are set by AI.
But where it's getting scary is the AI is being used to actually change the thinking of groups of people. Most of the users of TikTok are young, and guess who's controlling the AI behind TikTok?
The Chinese government.
You guessed it. Now, of course, I know something about the Chinese government. Been going to China for 26 years and got a little bit of knowledge.
You might want to reconsider that, given some of the things that you say. They don't cotton to criticism.
Well,
yeah, I don't.
Things have
really
changed with the Chinese government relatively recently, haven't they?
Yes, and you'll notice that 2020 has just been a crazy, crazy year. And I think some of that is due to the CCP or the Chinese Communist Party. They're without a doubt.
Are you saying it's no coincidence that the COVID turned up in the shadow of their one and only bioweapons lab?
Yeah, I don't think there's a coincidence. But
I don't think so either.
The young minds are definitely being shaped and influenced in ways that we couldn't imagine just in the recent past. And the CCP has the largest database of AI information because AI is based on data, and you got to have a large database in order to make your AI accurate. And they have over 1 billion people that are using their Chinese apps, and they're all basically forced to use them because they can't use outside apps. They have to use the ones that are in China. So the link between TikTok and the CCP is very, very dangerous. I don't want to sound like Donald Trump here, but I've seen what these things can do, and I've seen what the CCP can do, and I'm very concerned. And they also throw their influence into our education system. All the higher education, CCP is putting a lot of money into our colleges and universities, trying to shape what's being said and what's being taught, and they have been successful.
The American government is doing the same thing, which is equally frightening.
Well, the American government at least purports something like free markets. I mean, they aren't. In fact,
what are you talking about?
When did that start? Because they
don't advocate that in their government schools.
They purport something like free markets, whereas the Chinese Communist Party comes right out and says communism with no fear at all.
Well, the thing is, the American government says capitalism but does communism, and the Chinese government, to some extent, they do capitalism better than the American government there are
they don't.
They just don't.
They used to do capitalism better. That was during a period of time from, say, 2004 to 2017 or so. They did a very good job. But then, since Xi took over, he has been, and I don't mean he, I mean, Xi XI. Since he took over, he's been reining in the capitalism and reimposing communist hardline tactics.
That's unfortunate, because that will lead to disaster.
Not to mention what he's done is also made deals with the hardline militants that are in the control of the military in China, because there was always kind of this pull back and forth between let's make money and let's shore up our defenses and get Taiwan and Macau and Hong Kong back. But
guns versus butter. It's the ancient.
at this point, they're both on the same side, and that side is terrifying.
But I do want to stress this point that if we allow the CCP to control apps on our phones, I mean, I don't know that we can disallow it, but what I'm saying is that if we don't go into it with open eyes, people that innocently use TikTok, they're not realizing what's going on, what's behind it. So I think there needs to be a better avenue of getting this information out in front of people to tell them that, yes, TikTok's there, it's a lot of fun, blah, blah, blah. But you're also going to be subject to propaganda from the CCP, and they may do it in such a way that you don't even realize.
I half agree with you.
I've already talked to my son about TikTok, and I said, it's my recommendation, that this app is run by the Chinese government, and these people are terrifying. They're selling people's organs while they're still alive, cutting them out of their bodies, and I scared the heck out of him by telling him the truth about what I believe about the Chinese Communist Party.
You want to keep your liver, son? Put that down.
And I just, hey, look, there's all kinds of social media that we can talk about you using, but TikTok, I would prefer you just never put on any of your devices.
Well, the Chinese government is definitely not benign, but the only government that's done me any harm is the American government.
Yeah, I got to agree with you on that, nobody. And there's
I'm
been a lot
scared of the Chinese government.
Yeah, there's been a lot of concern coming from Mark specifically about the Chinese government and like comparing it to the U.S. government and acting like the U.S. government's so great.
I'd be scared too if I was living that close to China. That's why I'm not.
And concern from me, I've spent a lot of time over there, and I've seen their influence creeping into our country. So, yes, they're way over there on the other side of the planet.
I guess
but they're not staying there. They're creeping into our internet, and they're influencing our actions and our thought. And that's what scares me.
I guess the way I see it is every social media platform, every platform that you go to is used by somebody, is owned by somebody, is operated by somebody, and that somebody is going to be using that power to manipulate you, even if they didn't think that's what they were going to do when they started.
Yeah, I suspect the worst communist indoctrination is actually coming from the U.S. government schools and not some silly videos on TikTok. Thanks for the call, Gene. There's more coming up here. Free Talk Live.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive, and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by DJ Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Every year, over 1 million fires burn in America. Fortunately, firefighters are on the job, saving life and property, and you can be a part of it. 7 out of 10 firefighters and emergency responders are volunteers. There's no typical firefighter. Anyone can volunteer to serve their community. Volunteering as a first responder is really about having the heart and drive to make a difference where it's needed most. Your community needs you. Are you ready to answer the call? Learn more and find local volunteer opportunities at makemeafirefighter.org.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. As our contract with our satellite provider is coming up for another 3-year renewal, I have to consider calling it quits. It's rare that we get feedback or support from our satellite users. We started a fundraiser a few years ago, and though there are a bunch of great contributors to it, as of this recording, it covers 15% of our monthly satellite costs. Please email lrn@lrn.fm and tell me how you use the satellite feed. Better yet, chip in at fund.lrn.fm. The costs aren't the issue. We can afford them, but why continue something not valued by the market? Want to help? You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. Fund.lrn.fm.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You bring up whatever you want here. We got time for you. The number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Coming up in the summertime of 2021, June 28th through July 4th. It's ForkFest 2021, and you know, it's going to be here before you know it. It's already not quite 6 months away, but we're getting there. So start making your plans. Mark your calendar, June 28th through July 4th. Come on out to Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire, where, presuming you have the freedom to actually travel to New Hampshire by the time the summertime comes around, you'll be able to enjoy a decentralized libertarian camping festival where you get to hang out with some cool liberty-minded folks. And you can create whatever you want. Maybe you want to put on a show for people. Maybe you want to put a game night together or a poker table or something like that. Whatever you want to do, you can do it over at ForkFest. You just have to follow the very few rules that the campground has, because there's no organizers of ForkFest. That means there's no official schedule. It's just whatever the people that attend want to create for the other people attending. So you decide. Go to forkfest.party and you can learn more about the event. That is an unofficial website because there's nothing official when it comes to ForkFest. Forkfest.party also has links to the ForkFest chat room on Telegram and the ForkFest forum. As we go to your calls and thoughts here, David is in Michigan. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, David.
Hey, good evening, Ian. Nobody. Is Mark there?
He's here.
I am here.
Before I get into my point, gentlemen, just wondered what the status is with Aria running for sheriff there in New Hampshire.
She didn't win.
Was it a blowout win? Because it sounded like the sheriff been there for a number of years.
The sheriff did blow out Aria. Yes.
Yeah, like 80.
I mean, Aria
75.
put forward an amazing performance for a libertarian. She got 20% of the vote, which is
it's actually a fairly poor performance for a libertarian in a two-way, basically a two-way race. I mean, if you were a libertarian in a two-way race, you should be getting
three-way race.
Yeah, but it was a write-in, so it wasn't officially a three-way race. But
it was a write-in with the support of the party.
True. The write-in candidate still didn't do very well.
Independent, 20% is a big number.
Yeah, but she was running as a Republican. Hold on, she was running as a Republican. Okay,
but
so
it's a big number for a Republican in Keene.
Yeah, but it doesn't
Keene is
achieve
a liberal
anything.
stronghold.
It doesn't achieve anything. If a libertarian
Wait a minute,
gets 20%, then usually that's ballot status. It's meaningful. It gets you into a debate the next go around. Yeah. This didn't do anything because she ran as a Republican.
That's correct. And she did poorly compared to the previous Republican who ran in that slot that got 45% or whatever. However, the point of the point of her candidacy wasn't necessarily to win as much as it was to get attention for her ideas of freedom, and that was a tremendous success.
To pay attention to and take responsibility for their own votes, because she pointed out over and over again, hey, Republicans, you voted for me en masse.
Yeah, so it was a successful campaign from an outreach perspective.
And I think that's right. And to draw the attention to the liberty part of it. Now, have you been following Detroit politics and the election, you guys?
I don't pay any attention to Detroit.
I'm from near there,
I've
but
got
I
a live
don't know.
update from Michigan.
All right.
So Whitmer did a press conference.
That's the governor.
Did she get reelected?
Yes. With her team of experts, and today at 3:30 or 3 o'clock or so, we suggest, because a Michigan Supreme Court struck her down with their orders back in the spring, we suggest you do the math. We suggest you don't do a Thanksgiving. We suggest that you don't do it. Now, where does that come into as far as the libertarian perspective versus hardcore leftist Democrat like she is? You mentioned China a few minutes ago. The actions in Hong Kong, heck, I think it's drifting right over here to our heartland. I'm getting a little tired of it. Suggestions?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
I don't know if it's more of a question, but a statement. I mean, how far is the leftist communist playbook land right in our heartland?
Oh, well, I mean, we know that the communists have been invading the United States for decades, and they've always had a long time plot to take over the institutions, and they've
McCarthy was a red.
They've done a fairly good job of taking over. I mean, they own the education system
way back
top to bottom.
Way back in March.
Not to mention the media.
I recall having said that this whole COVID thing is quickly becoming a political football, and I was immediately berated by people on Facebook whom I all knew were Democrats. It's the Republicans.
You're late to the party. I got berated by both sides.
I didn't at that time. I only got berated just for saying it has become a political football. You pulled off our mask. If it wasn't for those darn kids, right? That was what it was all about. And I got unfriended by a longtime friend of both of ours, Ian, over simply saying that.
Wow. Thank you, David, for the call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you.
Dennis wanted to shoot a gun over our heads at the 420 rally.
Oh, yeah. Former listener of Free Talk Lives was calling people, manslaughterer for going without a mask to a rally.
Wow. Mad bastard.
And he ran as a Democrat, is that right?
Maybe.
I believe so.
I think he supports the Democrats.
No, I believe he ran as a Democrat.
Could very well be. So, Harris County, Texas, Houston. Reporting from click2houston.com, Harris County Public Health will conduct a survey to continue studies on the COVID-19 pandemic. Yes, representatives with HCPH will go door to door to randomly selected homes throughout the county, collecting blood samples to determine the presence of COVID-19.
Somebody's getting somebody's blood.
They're going to go to random doors, and they're going to ask for blood samples.
That's right.
I can't believe it.
It shows a photo here, or I guess this is actually video footage, of a woman standing outside of a pair of doors with two Harris County public health bureaucrats wearing, neon construction yellow vests.
You can do anything if you wear those vests.
They got clipboards, too.
Yeah.
Oh, if you carry a clipboard, That's a great way to get in. And
Vest
out of.
plus clipboard. I mean, it's like a 1-2 punch.
Just
people do
look
anything.
like you know where you're going.
Right.
Hi, ma'am. We're coming around to ask a few questions and maybe get some blood
We'll
from you.
just need your blood sample. Go ahead, stick your arm out. Okay, we're just going to take it right here on
I'm going to have
doorstep.
to ask you for a blood sample now, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to ask you for an equal exchange.
So what they, what we're joking about here is tone and delivery amongst the government. The government cannot come to your door and ask you for and demand blood from you. At least supposedly.
Oh yeah, they can. They just shoot you in the face.
They could do that, and they get
and there will be blood,
and they all in all likelihood would get away with it. But
they do on a regular basis.
That they do.
I mean, they don't shoot me in the face on a regular basis.
But what they'll do is they'll try to get compliance from you by saying things like, "I'm going to have to ask you for."
That's the police line. That's
Right.
the one where the cops will say, I'm going to have to ask to search your car.
You don't have to do doodly dude.
Step out of the car. I'm going to have to ask you if I can search your car now.
Right.
Right. So they can demand that you step out of the car for whatever reason. I don't know why.
Officer safety.
Yeah. But they can't just go ahead and make you make it so that they can't just demand to search your car.
They need your consent.
They can demand it
unless they have probable cause that you're hiding something or whatever. So if they're asking, if they have to ask, that means they don't have the probable cause to search. So they have to ask, and that's not the same way as actually asking somebody, but it's an intimidating way, especially if they've got a gun, that makes it sound like you have to comply.
Once they start talking about searching the car, that's when the camera should definitely come out.
It should have come out before that.
It should have, but you should definitely have it out, and you should definitely be saying, all right, I'm refusing this search. And if you go on with it, you're just doing it because you're doing it. I haven't given you permission. Isn't that so, officer? I have not given you permission to search my car. Get over there on the other side of the car. They'll do whatever they want.
Those are good suggestions. More coming up here.
Filming.
In moments. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You can take control of the airwaves here. This is Free Talk Live. We'll tell you more about these blood draws coming up.
Attention business owners body slammed by overwhelming debt. If your business is in trouble, hassled by creditors, if you're frustrated, finally fed up with big business bailouts while your business has been left for dead, please listen close. There's a brand new fast-track bankruptcy. Some have even called it the biggest small business bailout in American history. Designed for individuals and their businesses. And look, almost no one knows about this yet. My attorney wasn't even aware of it. The truth is, beating the system has never been easy because it's rigged in a sense against the little guy. But here's the jaw-dropping news nobody's talking about. They've literally just changed the system so that you can beat it, but only if you understand how the new game has to be played. Find out if you qualify at pocketsoflight.com. This government-backed small business repair program is still legal, but may not be renewed after the election. Fight back fairly, fight back ethically at pocketsoflight.com.
Do you have health or energy challenges? Would you like to support your health and energy from a product that people consistently feel the uplifting and health-building effects from the first day they consume it? I introduce you to Green Meadow Whey, the only whey protein powder from grass-pastured cows that is processed in a manner that ensures that the proteins and amino acids remain in their correct geometric shape that the body can use. The naturally occurring proteins, peptides, and amino acids in renatured whey are proven to support multiple aspects of human health, from complementing your immune system to neutralizing chronic inflammation to supporting detoxification to stabilization of blood sugar and more. Additionally, due to the Tesla-like frequencies encoded into Green Meadow Whey, it is a dramatic support for your energy and mood. And it is an excellent emergency preparedness food with well over a 5-year shelf life. To order, call 888-988-3325. That's 888-988-3325. Or visit greenmeadowway.com. greenmeadowway.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people like passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project early movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Masternode platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Moments remain here. Enough time for you if you dial now. Our number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. It's 855-450-3733. In the studio tonight, you've got Ian.
And nobody.
And Mark.
We will continue. Of course, if you've got calls, you want to join us, you're welcome to. You can bring up anything you want.
I had a couple things I wanted to pitch real quick.
Okay.
So long as we're on here. There's a couple of groups forming that are both loosely centered around in different ways on the idea that when things go bad, neighbors need to help neighbors. You need to help the people who are close to you. Of course, we got a strong sense of that up here in New Hampshire, but wherever you are, I would suggest checking out there's a website at peoplesrights.org, and there's another one at freedomcells.org. And I would suggest that you check out either or both of those. And if you're inclined toward either organization, I don't know what's going to happen, but I expect that things are about to get crazy. So it's good to know some people who are well-armed, like-minded, and in your area.
So these are groups of individuals, according to peoplesrights.org. They say they have more than 37,000 people already, 340 people joining every day on average, and are joining together to assist each other in securing their rights. So who will you call when your rights are threatened? You will call your neighbors, which sounds a lot like Cell 411. Might be involved in something like
I'm
that.
hoping to I'm going to pitch it to both of those organizations as a way to stay in touch with local people. And I was just thinking that the two organizations are structured differently, and so they might be interested in having different forms of the software. But there's all kinds of once you got everything working, the software can be customized to what various communities need from it.
Yep, and we are getting things working in the background, hopefully with a new release coming sometime this month, if all goes well.
I'm hoping. I ended up switching out 2 more libraries yesterday because they were just too outdated, and But it's getting there.
We're
It's
freshening
getting there.
things up behind the
Yep.
scenes on Cell 411. It'll probably be the first release that software's had in a couple of years. I don't know when the last one was, but it's been a while.
Oh, yeah. It fell down off the App Store for a while. So sad. But it's going to be nice. I think it's going to roar back. I think people are going to be
They're
very
ready for
happy
it.
with
Yeah,
it
they're
when they
ready
see the cleaned up version.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so you might want to send one of these notices out once the blood-drawing bureaucrats come to your door. HCPH, if you're in Harris County, Texas, and this may be something you'll see elsewhere, right? Just because they're doing it in Harris County doesn't mean they're not going to try it in Oklahoma or California or wherever. So they say representatives will go door to door to randomly selected homes throughout the county, collecting blood samples to determine the presence of COVID-19 antibodies. Official bureaucrats said, quote, in an effort to better understand how many people in Harris County may have already been infected with COVID-19, officials with Harris County Public Health, HCPH, will be conducting a survey of randomly selected homes. The survey will identify people infected in the past with COVID-19 by the presence of antibodies, proteins in the body's immune system makes to fight infections. County residents agreeing to participate in the survey will be tested for the presence of these antibodies.
And
unquote.
Will they be courteously not shot? Is that your payoff for participating?
Probably
Get a
won't be
test
shot
and
right
They don't shoot you.
then. They will likely, if you test positive for COVID, then they will probably set these teams on you. What do they call the contact tracers? Who then will get into all your business and demand to know things about you, like where you go and who you hang around and who you had dinner with last week or whatever.
Better show up with a warrant showing probable cause that I've committed a crime if you want some information from me.
Well,
I can't believe they're walking
And of course, if I have committed a crime, then I have the right to remain silent.
Right.
I can't believe they're walking around with the audacity of asking Americans for their blood at the door.
That's what's happening. Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Presumably, they'll take the blood at the door as well, unless you let them in.
I bet you people will give it to them, too.
Yeah, I bet they will.
I bet you they get at least 50% compliance.
That would be interesting to see those numbers.
At least.
Yeah.
Because people
Send
will be like,
bachelors.
oh, you want? Well, it's likely the bachelors won't even get up to get out to open the door. It'll probably be whoever's at home during the day.
No. He said send bachelors, suggesting that they might be killed.
Send people who aren't going to be missed by their wives.
I see. I don't think so. I mean, maybe.
Most people are probably not going to shoot these bureaucrats, and I would say that would be an
If they're
overreaction.
just asking, no. But if somebody comes and jabs a needle in my arm,
There
I'm
you
going to
go.
do my best to jam a needle in their eye.
There you go. So that's what's happening in Houston. They say, quote, participants will be asked to provide
The thing
answers.
is, Rich, if they get compliance, I mean, do you have a prediction on the level of compliance?
From me? None.
No, I understand from
Okay.
you. Right. That's not a prediction.
That's a prediction.
All right. What I suggested that they would get more than 50% compliance. Do you think that is an outrageous prediction?
It depends on how they approach. It depends on I don't know. I think it depends on what area they're in.
Well, they're going to get better at getting compliance as they do it more often, because that's
maybe
how
they'll get better at making decisions about how to spend their time. It remains to be seen.
Oh,
which
they're
way
getting
that'll
paid.
go.
This is the problem with governments, right?
Well, there's a lot of things that you couldn't pay me to do.
Well,
and one of them is go out doing random blood draws.
There's
from people who don't
350
consent.
million Americans. They can pay one of them to do it, believe me. And they've got your money to pay them. So
They don't have
plenty-
my money.
Yes, they do. You're paying taxes somehow.
Not to the federal government.
This is a state government thing, so this is
It's county.
County?
Harris County.
Yeah, so you're not getting out of this at all.
I'm not paying Harris County, Texas anything.
I understand you're not, but the people in Harris County are.
Well, they could get out of Harris County.
They could leave Harris
Sounds
County,
like a silly
but Harris
place to
County
be.
will be successful at this because not enough people will leave, and they will go ahead and get probably 50% compliance. And if they only get 25% compliance, then all they need to do is hit twice as many doors in order to get the number that they're looking for, because this is just a random test to find out about COVID. This will be successful.
I saw a few ranchers and a bunch of motley militiamen stand up to the U.S. government and win a few years ago. So I don't make predictions anymore.
That's Eamon Bundy, yeah.
Yeah.
Who was one of the founders of the organization you were talking about earlier,
the
People's
People's Rights Organization, actually. I didn't mention that, did I? Yeah.
No, you didn't.
Ammon Bundy is working on the one, and John Bush is working on the
Freedom
other.
Cells, freedomcells.org, you said?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what their roles are.
Longtime listeners will recognize both of those names. John Bush has been a many-time guest here on Free Talk Live. We've never spoken with Ammon Bundy, I don't think.
I've been trying
We've talked to the
quite
Bundys,
a
but
while,
not to
too.
Ammon.
Really? Which Bundy did we talk to?
I thought we had...
Do we have some brother or something on?
Yeah, I thought we did.
I don't remember. Maybe we did. Maybe we did
Ammon
have him
has
on.
like two brothers.
Yeah, I think we...
If you got his phone number, I need it.
It's hard to have been on the air for 20 years
Right.
and remember everybody you've talked to.
Well, I mean, we haven't even had that many guests. We've only had 50 or something over
That's not
over
true.
all the years.
Yeah, that's not even accurate. I mean, we go to conventions. We have 50 guests in a convention.
Well, okay, I'm excluding the.
I know
the
you can't
coverage.
exclude the people we've talked to as guests.
Ryan Bundy. I'm looking at our guest
Oh,
page.
okay, that was one of the other brothers.
Yeah, we had Ryan Bundy on the show. Back
Yeah,
in 2014.
Cliven Bundy was the...
That was the dad.
Was the dad.
Yeah.
And he got a bad rap. They accused him of saying some racist things, and if you listen
And
to
it
him,
wasn't.
it was not racist at all. He said that, black people have been abused by the federal government, which, well...
It's true.
Yeah.
True fact. Which is why they should be turning against the state. And real quick headline
the
here.
federal government's the only surviving slave owner.
Since we were talking about Bitcoin earlier, this is a scary bit of news. Blockchain analytics platform Blockseer, according to Cointelegraph, has launched the private beta version of a new Bitcoin mining pool that censors transactions from blacklisted wallets. So you now have the beginnings of a mining pool that is going to look at all of the transactions in the mempool. And even if you're paying a high fee, if you're coming from a blacklisted or going to a so-called blacklisted address, so let's say that, somehow the Silk Road was still around and you found out what the wallet was, they'd put that on this list. They would prohibit the transaction from being mined into their blocks. Now, that wouldn't mean that the other miners would do the same thing, but in theory, in the future, if the governments get more sway over this, then we'll see more miners doing these blacklistings, which is very scary.
Well, it's not obvious, though, that the government would be able to control enough of the miners to make a difference. And basically, even if they did, you can always, as another miner, you can always hard fork the coin by holding the first block that you disagree on.
Out of time. But if you want to talk more about things like hard forks, then join Nobody for Nobody Tells the Truth tomorrow night, 10:30 Eastern Time.
Because nobody wants to talk about that stuff.
At dlive.lrn.fm. We'll see you tomorrow. Online in the meantime, freetalklive.com.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be a part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for people to use it for everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that is as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need: a WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
The latest episode of Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock is next after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
More grim milestones. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Just days after the state of Texas reported 1 million cases of COVID-19, California now joining it, according to figures from Johns Hopkins University, as Chicago's mayor asked people to not travel for 30 days starting Monday, not even for Thanksgiving. Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar says even family gatherings can spread the virus.
The more people you have over, the more you're at risk, okay? If you have more people together that are not household members, you're getting at risk, and you've got to be extra careful then about distance and wearing face coverings.
And Azar stresses people need to wear masks to stop the spread of the illness. Health officials in Massachusetts say confirmed deaths from the virus have surpassed 10,000, but they say the actual number may be much higher. The more progressive wing of the Democratic Party hoping for some representation in a Biden cabinet.
Senator Bernie Sanders for Labor Secretary. Senator Elizabeth Warren for Treasury Secretary. Sanders says it only makes sense.
The progressive community and grassroots organizations played a very, very important role in helping to defeat Trump and elect Joe Biden. And I'm proud of the work that we all did.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi told reporters what Joe Biden got in this election was a mandate.
Fox's Mike Emanuel. Elections officials in Nevada pushing back on claims from the Trump campaign of widespread fraud in the election process.
Nevada Attorney General Aaron Ford says he has seen no evidence of widespread fraud and urges poll workers making anonymous allegations, like the woman who claimed she saw votes being changed in a van, to come forward and file a complaint.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. 2 legal cases are active in Nevada, including one in federal court. The Trump campaign and the state GOP asked for a third case to be dropped by the Nevada Supreme Court, where they had asked for the certification process to be stopped. America's listening to Fox News.
Hey, it's Adam Carolla from The Adam Carolla Show. If you're a business owner, you don't need me telling you that running a business is tough. Don't let QuickBooks and spreadsheets slow you down. Upgrade to NetSuite. Stop paying for multiple systems that don't give you the info you need when you need it. Ditch the spreadsheets and old software. Upgrade to NetSuite by Oracle, the world's #1 cloud business system. NetSuite gives you visibility and control over financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more, all in one place instantaneously, whether you're doing millions in sales or hundreds of millions in revenue. Save time, save money with NetSuite. Join the over 21,000 companies using NetSuite right now. Let NetSuite show you how they can benefit your business with a free product tour at netsuite.com/Adam. That's a free product tour at netsuite.com/Adam.
A social media company debunks a viral video clip that claims voter fraud.
A Twitter clip retweeted by President Trump shows workers in Los Angeles collecting valid mail-in ballots, which were posted on or before November 3rd from an official ballot drop box.
Are there a ton in there?
The woman recording seemingly trying to suggest something fishy was going on, Twitter flagging it as misleading. The Los Angeles County Registrar tweeting all drop boxes were closed and locked at 8 p.m. on election night, and ballots were collected the following day, adding these are valid ballots that will be processed and counted during the post-election canvass, like all outstanding vote-by-mail ballots. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
A new report from Southwest Airlines indicates that the rise in COVID-19 cases around the country is cutting into travel bookings. The company says it's not sure if softer bookings are directly related to the rise in cases around the country. Online shopping is expected to crush previous records this year. Adobe.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
This is the Onion Week in Review. According to sources, all 6.5 million residents of Indiana spontaneously formed thousands of perfectly uniform rows throughout the state Monday morning and established a collective consciousness. Saying, "We are Indiana," the new hive mind talked and moved in unison, with citizens working together to build a massive geometric superstructure in downtown Indianapolis where they would gather to sleep, breed, and feed.
All corns for Indiana. All corns for Indiana.
The collective state went on to report that soon Ohio, Illinois, Michigan, Kentucky, and Canada would all become Indiana. Persons close to Phoenix area friends Jake Welter and Mike Seflin confirmed Friday that the two men are absolutely incapable of greeting each other like normal human beings.
Beep, 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 beep.
Sources say the two full-grown men simply cannot walk into a room and shake each other's hands, relying instead on elaborate dances, forced pop culture references, and extended fake fighting. Neither Welter nor Seflin was available for comment as they were busy pretending to rip each other's faces off.
And now, live from the studios of Freedom's Phoenix, Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Today, let us make them remember. We are not afraid!
Interfered here on Declare Your Independence. Me, Ernest Hancock, here in Northport, Washington. Population 250. It's up on the Canadian border on the Columbia River, and it's a little cold. It's a little cold. We're going to leave probably Monday, Tuesday. You get a break in the weather and kind of, it's not going to be ice or something, and boom, on the way to Phoenix where it's 80 degrees. And I'm looking forward to that. I know Donna is. We get to see all our children and everything. Last night, well, I'll tell you what's coming up. All right. Richard Grote is going to be on. I'm trying to Zoom. We're not going to be able to live stream the show because it's bandwidth is a thing. But we'll go ahead. We'll have Richard Grove on, and it's going to be freedom in the times of chaos, election mandates. What are they covering for tragedy and A&D? TragedyAndHope.com. Richard Grove is always an interesting interview, so we'll go ahead and do that. I might even let him talk. We'll see. Frank Timberry, in the last hour, Trump report. This is, you can get him over at RockwoodNaturalMedicine.com. Rockwood Natural Medicine is his new office. And, he's doing well. It's some people are doing well, but not everybody. In Ontario, I just saw that they have a big resistance to the lockdown, huge lockdown protest in small Ontario town. Aggressive counter-protesters disrupt the rally, help rebel find microphone smasher. Well, you got little small. It's called Aylmer, Aylmer, MER.